All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Loshak and the Bag Show. He's Jimmy the Bag. I'm Peter Loshak. It's October 12th. We're doing it again every Tuesday. We got the NHL coming up, and I'm fully prepared, Jimmy the Bag. You weren't expecting that, were you? You were expecting to have to carry the NHL segment all by yourself, which is, totally fine and totally understandable since you're the NHL guy. But I'm happy to tell you I'm more prepared than I've ever been for an NHL season right now. What do you think about that, Jimmy the Bag?
I expect greatness from you, Pete. So it doesn't surprise me one bit because we have a full NHL season for the first time in 2 years. I'm so excited about it. It's a ton of parity, lots of moving parts. I can't wait to break it down. I love this show. I love that we have 6 games, that we hammer, and then hopefully we'll have at least an hour for NHL futures. I made my first futures bets last night. I tweeted them out this morning.
In other news, I'm not homeless anymore. I got a home, Jimmy the Bag. I'm off the streets. What do you think about that? Not a bad look, huh? I got a home. It's, it's modest, a 1-bedroom, but it's all I need, right? What do you think? Nice look, huh, Jimmy the Bag?
You look sharp, man. You look sharp.
Do I look like I could possibly resemble a winner circa 2021 style, maybe?
Yes, you do. Yeah. You absolutely do, man. You absolutely do. Getting a lot of love from the chat.
Yeah. I don't look like a guy who's like, man, this guy was probably a winner 15 years ago in 2021. I don't know. I think I look up with it. I think I look like I still can compete with some of those young bucks with their fucking AI and their fucking analytics and their young, fresh faces and their fucking newly minted, master's degrees in statistics. I look like I still compete with those guys a little bit, right, Jimmy the Bag? No?
You certainly do.
All right.
No more farmers only.
No. Now I'm going for the big time. The one that you have to be a celebrity to get invited to. I'm going to be on that one, Jimmy the Bag. Mark my words. There's a dating site only for celebrities. You have to be invited to. Mark my words, Jimmy the Bag. 2022, by June 2022, I will be on that site.
Respect.
Banging Jennifer Aniston and shit. You know what I'm saying?
We got Brian Watson ready to get to work. Francis looking forward to talk NHL. Says Toronto regulation against the Canadiens or even -1.5 will be a strong play for him. Yes, Jose, we don't have.
What happened? I can't hear you, Jimmy the Bag.
We lost you for a second, Jimmy. We'll see. Pete, by the way, while I'm here, you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. Wait, Jimmy the Bag had some technical issues?
I know. We can't hear.
Wow, how the tables have turned. He who is on bottom is now on the top. No, I'm kidding around. What's going on? Are we going to get him back? I need him. I can't do the show alone. Jesus Christ.
Are we good? Am I in?
Oh, God. Thank God. Thank God. Oh, thank God.
Okay, good. I'm back. Okay, I don't know what happened there. But yeah, sorry. Francis saying Toronto regulation against the Canadiens, giving -1.5 will be a strong play. I'm very interested. And one of my future bets, just to let you guys all know, is the under in the Toronto Maple Leafs season point total. I can't wait to talk it up. There is Arthur Mead Jr., supporter of us since day one. Jay Stone as well. Slatsy in the house. Says that survivor pick was a little too close for comfort. Yes, the Viking survivor pick, Slatsy, how many games have we hit straight now? I'm at 22 straight from our win last year. We were fortunate there. There's Gegard A, ready to get to work. Says it's been a long damn time. Military put me all the way out in Germany. But goddamn it, does it feel good to be back. Let's get it, Jimmy. Shout out to Gegard A and everything that you do for us and for our freedoms. Big shout out to Gegard A. Was put out in Germany, now back in action. Not flush, giving him love right away. Brian Watson likes the Leafs over 5.5 on Thursday. I can't wait to talk Oh, God, NHL is back, baby. NHL is back, baby. There's Cab in the house. Brian Watson, Spenny Penny Bombs. Islanders to win the Cup. I'm on that as well. And Toronto to win the Cup. You got to be kidding me. Caps, plus 550 to win the division. Rookie of the Year, Zegras. Swayman, interesting. And MVP McKinnon. I like that. I like all that.
You guys are. Sorry, I don't mean to jump in with NHL analysis here, but you guys are all high on the Islanders. I mean, I can understand why. A lot of people are high on them. I'm not sure that's 100% warrant. You agreeing with that, Jim? You're high on the Islanders?
Oh God, this lineup is so deep. It is so deep. You got players all across there trying to prove themselves. You got a team that's come so close to glory. You have the Jennings winners. They'll win the Jennings Trophy. These two goalies, especially with the defensemen they have in front of them. Stay at home, big, smart, not Corsi darlings. This Islanders team is just the market is just so wrong on them the way I see it. But wow. I did because I have 2 units on all my futures bets, only 1 unit on all my Islander bets because they start their first 13 games on the road, and because they're building the arena. And if it doesn't go very well, I'd like to double up at the 13 game mark or 12 or 13 game mark. So yeah, this team is so big, tough, veterans, youth. They have absolutely everything, and Lamoriello has done a spectacular job.
You're right that the analytics are not super enthused about them, but there's also some issues with NHL analytics right now. The analytics are not as sharp and dead on as they are in a lot of other sports. So
I can't wait till you talk about that, but it's never been more noticeable than the Corsi numbers on the Islanders defense. Last year, the Islanders defense was 28th, 29th, and 30th in the league Corsi numbers, and they were arguably the best defense in the NHL. And who doesn't care about analytics very much is the wise Lou Lamoriello. So I can't wait. I can't wait till we talk about all of that, man.
Yeah, there you go. The NHL might be the last bastion for the dumbasses to handicap successfully. And that's good news for people like you and me, Jimmy the Bag. Hell yeah. Shout out to Jimmy.
I can't wait. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, the first year that Pete and I worked together, I got up 43 units at one point, was my high watermark in that season. And Pete finished the year with a better record than me. He is so good at reading the market. When we work in NHL together, I think we're at our best.
Yeah, just for new viewers who didn't remember that year, I historically in my life had been so bad at NHL that I just abandoned it. Not for the playoffs. I was good at the playoffs and I kept doing the playoffs, but I would abandon NHL regular season just for my own handicapping and betting, and I would handicap it if I had to cover it. But I abandoned it. Then when I started doing a show with Jimmy the Bag, most of my edge came from listening to him, listening to the comments section, and analyzing all that information in light of the research that I did, and completely changed my perspective and opinions on NHL 180 degrees. And now it's one of my favorite sports to cap, and I feel like I do have a reasonable edge in it when I'm doing it aided and guided with people who really know their shit around me, not by myself. But so shout out to you, Jimmy the Bag. That was one of the most fun handicapping seasons of my entire life. Also the easiest because I didn't have to do the hard work.
It was my favorite handicapping season of my entire life. Absolutely. I enjoyed it so much. It was so rewarding. And I got down there on October 1st. So I got there right down for the start of the season, and we just started dominating. And then I started struggling in the playoffs, like I always do because of the amount of futures bets I have that I start getting in my head. And so I've been trying to fix that with less future bets. And I've made less future bets in every sport. And even this, with just 6 bets in NHL, is less than I usually do. All right, let's get right to work. Cindy plays horses in the house. Jansen, Dommy Gun, Ricci, Matty Ice. Cindy plays horses, by the way. Extremely sharp thoroughbred handicapper that does razor sharp picks. So great to have. Oh, we have Taint play today in from Matty Ice. Let me copy and paste that right now. Copy and paste that. Paco Healy, Michael Irvalina, Christopher Carter. So many great cappers joining us. So let me just get the Taint in here at the top of the Atlanta-Milwaukee game. There we go. Pete, let's get right to work. I got off to a nice start in the playoffs, 4-1, and then lost on the Rays' first 5 yesterday. So 4-2. But Pete, at this point here, 357 wins, 323 losses, 52.5%, down 3.77 units. So it was down 2.72 yesterday until I got the loss. But I'm so close.
Yeah. Yes. I've actually had I skipped the playoffs because it takes a lot of work in baseball, usually to handicap the playoffs accurately, because this year I'm not doing anything else. I have followed the playoffs closely, and I'm actually doing well in them overall, quite well. And yesterday, I don't know, I'm sure that Nutflush Allen will know and agree with what I am about to say, but I'm not saying that, the Giants should have been a favorite yesterday, but that was massive disrespect at like plus 170 or something like that. That was a top play for me yesterday, the Giants. And today I don't really want to bet the Giants either, but it's just they're getting so disrespected by the market, Jimmy the Bag. You didn't have the Giants yesterday? I mean, Scherzer's great.
I've not bet the Dodgers-Giants series so far. I've just watched it.
I mean, it's just I'm scratching my head a little bit. I mean, who are these? I don't know, rich people or nerds who are making this market? Because that was a massive disrespect for the Giants. I think they're getting disrespected again today, not as much as yesterday, but the Giants' playoff lines have not. I mean, as we talked about it, we previewed the playoffs. I have the Giants rated dead even with the Dodgers. Basically dead even. And so a game like that, I don't understand these lines on the Giants really.
They are very interesting. Let's go right to work. This is really. I'm going to turn
on the feed now so I can read comments. So there might be a little bit of a unknown, a little bit of some background noise for a couple seconds before I mute it. So don't get thrown by that, Jimmy or Jose. Okay.
All right, let's get right to work. We start at 2:07 p.m. Eastern. The ALDS Game 4 makeup from yesterday. Houston Astros at Chicago White Sox. We're going to have Domi Gunrichi getting us started here. Domi Gunrichi saying, "I'm on the Astros today. Rodon was a last resort to make the playoff roster and Astros for the series." And Nasty Nate says, "Pete, looks like my nutsack smooth as an egg."
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a combination of influences for my current look. Yes, absolutely.
Like Nasty Nate's nutsack. Guaranteed rate field in Chicago, Illinois.
I can't say that's not a small part of it. Yes.
95 and 67, 44 and 37 on the road. And the Chicago White Sox, 93 and 69, 53 and 28 at home. I love that day. 65 Fahrenheit, overcast, 13 miles per hour out to left. Lance McCullers on the hill for these Astros. 13 and 5, 3.16 ERA, 1.22 whip, 162 and a third, 185 Ks, 76 walks over the regular season. His last start was Game 1 beauty. 6 2/3, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 4 Ks, and 6-1 win at home versus these White Sox. And he's been better all year on the road than he has been at home. 6 3, 3.51 ERA, 208 opponents batting average at home. On the road, 7 2, 2.70 ERA, 200 opponents batting average. And he beat these guys up during the regular season. In the regular season, he had 2 starts against them, a 2.08 ERA, 103 opponents batting average. Going up against Carlos Rodon. 13 and 5, 2.37 ERA, 0.96 whip, 185 Ks, 132 and 2/3. Last start was September 29th, which is a long time ago. We're now sitting here October 12th, 5 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, and 6-1 win at the Reds. He's had 2 starts versus Houston this year, and he was excellent in both of them. June 16th at Houston, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, 3 walks. July 18th at home versus Houston, 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, 10 Ks. He was much better this year at home than he was on the road. 6 3, 2.26 ERA, 170 opponents batting average. On the road, 7 2, 2.48 ERA, 206 opponents batting average. Astros are smashing lefties in September and October. 258, 846 OPS. White Sox versus righties, 266, 755 OPS. And the White Sox bullpen's being much better than the Astros bullpen. We saw a ton of offense in Game 3. I know that's in everybody's head. The weather's blowing out, but my first instinct was maybe to go under, and then I got cold feet. Let's set this table for Pete and see what he decides to do. The White Sox open up at minus 115. They're now just minus 106. This total opened at 8.5 at the pick'em. There's been a 4-cent move towards the under. Pete, take it away.
Yeah, I haven't because I was doing so much NHL last night. I haven't gotten fully into these games yet, but this is a classic playoff game, right? I don't like Rodon here, but if he either shows signs of having issues or complains about having issues, they'll yank him. You know what I mean? Quicker than Cole got yanked. I could see him easily if he really has fatigue issues here. He's either going to throw 5 strong innings, probably shut out a 1 run, or if he struggles, they're going to pull him like after 1 or maybe even in the first inning. So it's really hard to say what to expect from Rodon here. And I'm assuming that they've talked to him and had him throw some pitches, so they expect him to be okay in this spot. And so it's just I was thinking about maybe Houston first 5. I don't think I can give that as an official play. but that's how I'd be leaning. I wouldn't be surprised if they yank Rodon early and then Lance Lynn comes in and has a strong, multi-inning start to make up for, so it's I don't know. I'm going to have to pass on this one. I guess if you gave me a free play on this one, I would probably take Houston, but definitely can't go official with that.
Interesting. Puzzler saying that Rodon's fastball was 4 to 5 miles slower.
Yeah, right. Except that if he comes in and he's looking vulnerable, it depends on how long, they might pull him after 2 batters if it's obvious that he doesn't have it, On the other hand, I'm sure if they didn't run some tests, they expect him to be good for the first batter. I'm sure they wouldn't run him out there. So classic MLB playoff situation. And live betting might have some value, but as we sit here right now, I just can't give a bet on it.
Nuke Worker says McCullers was lights out the first game, but can we expect him to do it again in with such recency going on? We have batter versus pitcher stats. I have the cash flow stats, but we also have the say hey play of the day on this very game. The say hey play of the day on this very game. And he's still just barely in the black. And while he is in the black, carte blanche. Please welcome to the show, Jose Bouquet.
Gentlemen, how are we doing? I'm going to act like this is the first time I'm on screen. Pete, you look lovely, as always. Jimmy, I like your shirt, hat, jersey combo today.
Thank you.
We're feeling good. I'm fucking exhausted, but we are feeling fantastic.
Yes, congratulations on your Red Sox. Getting through the Rays. It's a big deal. That's not an easy situation, and you got all the momentum on your side, and all of Boston believing, man. Pretty impressive.
It's one of those years. I love it. Just going to let you know, guys, 3-0 the Red Sox are this year when I'm wearing my lucky shirt. Has not been washed. I've been wearing it for 4 days straight. Love it. Also, Jimmy, I want to let you know that I caused a disturbance this weekend. I had, as you would say, a bet out of my tax bracket with my local on Game 3. And I was very confident going into the game. I said that we would win Game 3 no matter what. They tied the game 4 in the 7th inning. And I'm at my friend's house watching with a bunch of Giants fans, or Giants Cowboys fans, I'm sorry. And they were watching the game, and I was in my own little corner. When I start watching games, my hands don't sweat as much as yours, Jimmy. I just say that. I pace. I walk around like a madman. And I think I racked up at least 5 miles. And by the end of the game, I was in the middle of the living room screaming at the top of my lungs, just absolutely yelling bloody murder. I called Christian a fat piece of shit right before he hit a home run. And then as soon as he hit the home run, I ran outside and I just started screaming again. And there were some random people out there. I didn't know who they were. But yeah, it was a good time. And then everyone saw my reaction last night on the live stream as well. So good times to be had all the time.
Fuck your Boston Red Sox and congratulations, Jose. Congratulations. I'm glad that you got a casher and you trusted them. You trusted them. Okay. Please, Jose. White Sox, Astros. You're riding high. You're feeling good about yourself. This is an interesting spot. Why don't we just touch on where the cash is in this game right now? We have 14,110 tickets in. 14,286 tickets in. And we can't use that. Sorry, we can't use any of these tickets because they're still in from yesterday. And we had a different pitching matchup, so the tickets don't help us. So let's cut that. Jose, we've seen a market move towards – let's just double-check this market move once more. Towards these Astros, a 9-cent move towards these Astros. Were you surprised by the opening line? Do you agree with the market move? How are you betting this?
I think we all saw the quotes from Ryan. I think it was Ryan Tepera. He's basically saying that the Astros are cheating again. The Astros are the biggest feed on that bullshit team ever, especially Carlos Correa. They love being the enemies. They love being the heels. They love that shit. I'm going with Astros team total here. I think that the bats come out hot, and they put an ass beating on the White Sox. I think the Astros are probably the best team in the American League. Right now, on our friends at BetDog, you can get their team total over 4 at -115, over 4.5 at +115, 3.5 -150. I'm gonna go with the 4 -115, just so I can give myself the room for the push. I think, like I said, I think this will be a higher scoring game. Rodon's arm troubles kind of scared me a little bit. They obviously were saving him for a last case scenario, and Tony La Russa is kind of that guy that I think he'll try to stick with his guns. I think Pete, he will probably leave him out there a little longer than we anticipate. It'll be longer than Garrett Cole, just because I think Tony La Russa's got that old school mentality. This is our guy. We've got to our last stand here. Let's see it. But
you think they're going to leave him out if he's struggling, if his fastball velocity is down, if he's complaining of soreness? No way. I mean, if they leave him in, he's probably because, look, if he comes in and throws 5 shutout innings, that would be almost expected. I mean, he's been great this year. His velocity is up. His mechanics are great. I mean, he took a legitimate statistical jump this year. So I'm not, the reports of his fatigue are very scary, but his stats, even in the starts where he was complaining of fatigue, have been great.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll put him back out there if he's even a little trepidatious. Honestly, he's a free agent this year too, so I think that he and his agent would be a little selfish at some point, being if it's something's bothering me in my arm, then that's not I don't think he would go out there. So I do think he will throw at least 3 innings, but I still think this Astros team is a little fired up now after those comments, and I think that they come out there and get at least 2-3 runs early, and then we'll see how that goes with Rondon.
Pete, can I ask you what is keeping you off of the Astros at this point? Your thought that Rodon, because he has looked so good this year.
Yeah.
He's looked so good at home this year. He's looked so good against the Astros this year. So is that?
Yeah, I mean, if Rodon is on his game, then I would probably be leaning first 5 under, I guess, my the reports are bad, but my assumption is that if they didn't have reason to believe that he will be on his game, they wouldn't risk throwing him out there and putting themselves behind the 8 ball, even 2-zip in an elimination game. So, I give him the benefit of the doubt. I would be leaning first 5 under, just because he's starting.
That was my initial thought, but then the 13 miles per hour to left slowed me down a little bit, and I wanted to hear what you guys have to say. And then if we're questioning what he's going to be like, he's not started since end of September 29th. I guess it may end up being a stay off. I like that you took the 4. I think that's a smart thing to do in this situation with the odds setup. And I like your bet. Jose. But I am not going to move at this point. I'm not going to move at this point. Pete staying off of Astros White Sox at this point as well, but the say hey play of the day is in Astros team total over 4 -115, and congratulations on your Boston Red Sox moving on to the ALCS. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and the first 5 under is very tempting at 4.5, and that's just basically, a bet that the White Sox won't be able to make adjustments against McCullers, which is a little bit of an iffy bet, and also a bet that Rodon is close to 100%, which is also a little bit of a iffy bet. On the other hand, he's starting, so he probably will be. First 5 under 4.5 is very borderline play for me at 120.
Yeah, I agree.
Make it official, Pete.
I can't because people are tracking it. You know what I mean? They might track it at some point in the future. This is all going to be on the internet forever, so I got to be very careful, Jose.
You're right. Sorry,
Jose,
Doc.
I'm glad that you cashed your big bet. And Astros team total over 4 -115 for Jose. Say hey play of the day, and we move on, my friend. But good luck. There he is. Jose, say hey play of the day. We move on to 5:15 p.m. Eastern, and we get to the taint play of the day. Atlanta, Milwaukee, full game under 8.5. He says been hammering this spot all series and not stopping now. Game 4, NLDS taint. I have Eric Lauer, Oscar E. Noah. Is that being confirmed, Pete?
I don't know if that's been confirmed. I mean, I was sort of assuming Lauer. Yeah, I don't know if. No, Charlie Morton, Jimmy the Bag.
Morton is back.
Wow. Okay, there you go. Yeah. Charlie Morton.
So how many days rest does he have?
I think that's 3 days rest.
Wow.
And Atlanta is a significantly bigger favorite than they were at Pinnacle when I looked at it on the overnight line. Atlanta's like 150 now. On the overnight, they were like 125. And that makes me think that, wow, yeah. That makes me think that maybe the first 5 under at 4.5 is a decent play. All right, that surprises me a little bit. Atlanta's Jackson and Matzek pitched all 3 games so far, so this will be 4 and 5 for them. So that's not great for the Atlanta Pen. I was kind of down on Milwaukee to start the series just offensively. You know, there were times when their offense faded out during the year, and I was kind of down on them offensively, a little bit up on the Braves. Thought they were getting a little bit disrespected. But this game is, I don't know, I might be leaning under first 5, Jimmy the Bag. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, jumped in. This is a very
preview of this, although, yeah, Morton and Lauer.
By the way, Jason Folk, it sounds like a name for your buddy cop show with Jose, and Caterpillar Lip and Pistol Pimp.
Yeah, let's have a buddy cop show. Or what I really want to do, I want to play a role of a long-time successful gambler with a huge bankroll who gets approached by a young buck like Jose asking me bankrolled. And I sort of abuse him and chastise him, but secretly admire him because he reminds me of myself when I was his age. I got some great time for Jimmy the Bag.
I like it. Let's talk about this spot with this new information where Truist Park in Atlanta, Georgia, 75 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 2 miles per hour, sideways in. Eric Lauer is expected to be on the bump for the Brewers in this must-win baseball game. 7-5, 3.19 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, 118 and 2/3, 117 Ks, 41 walks. His last start was not good. 5 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 homers, 2 walks, 3 Ks, and an 8-6 loss at the Dodgers. Now, the Brewers had nothing to play for, but he didn't look very good. And he's had just 1 start versus the Braves this year, back on May 14th, and he did not look good in that one. 3 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 homers, no walks, 4 Ks, 6-3 loss at home versus the Braves. His splits were very good, very consistent. He was good all year long. For whatever reason, from watching him struggle with the Padres for those 2 years, I have this vividness of him being this bum journeyman, but he's just 26 years old. And when he could have been picked up by anybody for a cup of coffee after the Padres debacle for 2 years. I thought, man, this guy's trying to keep his career alive. He looked terrible in the shortened year last year, and he's been very good this year. And Braves versus lefties for September and October, 207 with a 604 OPS. Not hitting lefties whatsoever. And we have Morton on 3 days rest. Why are they doing this, Pete? Why wouldn't you save Morton for a possible Game 5?
My first answer to that, which might be wrong, my first answer to that is that they know what they're doing and they have confidence that doing this won't hurt them long term. Now, that could be wrong, but it's a reasonable assumption. You feel me, Jimmy the Bag? Yeah, it's a tough spot for Atlanta because, I think that their bullpen is not in the greatest spot either. I think Morton will be okay for a few innings, though. Leaning first 5 under.
We have spreadsheet plays of the day on Atlanta and the Dodgers. Ron Crawford moving on Atlanta and the Dodgers. Let me pop that in right here. This is just a wild turn of events that I was not expecting. And we don't have the cash flow because it's just opened up. These.
Can I address one comment?
Yes, please do.
Nick Martin says Loshak looking like a pimp. I actually have a walking stick right over there. I can show you if you want. It's not a particularly cool one, but I have one. I'm looking to upgrade maybe if I can find one, but I do have a walking stick.
As you should in Brooklyn, man. Okay, here we go. These are the batter versus pitcher stats, not up yet because they still don't even know if Lauer is going to be in line. Very interesting. Now, Atlanta, Milwaukee, full game under 8.5. Do you agree with the spreadsheet play of the day being Atlanta and the taint play of the day being Atlanta, Milwaukee, full game under 8.5?
At this line at minus 150 with the bullpen situation how it is with Atlanta, I can't say that unless I came into the video on the other side already, I'm not going to go against a spreadsheet play of the day. But at this line, it looks a little bit disrespectful. I mean, I like Atlanta in general a lot. I liked Atlanta a lot more heading into the playoffs than Milwaukee. But, with Atlanta's, I think I'm assuming that Lauer will be okay here. With Atlanta's bullpen situation the way it is and the line, I wouldn't bet Atlanta. But if Ron Crawford, if his spreadsheet likes it, then I'm not going to go against it.
Very, very interesting. A lot of moving parts in this game. And we're going to move on to NLDS Game 4, Giants-Dodgers right now. I've got to dig in to the history of 3-day short rest here. This is why the playoffs are so tough because, he's going on 3 days rest, but you don't know how long they're planning on using him. You know what I mean? Absolutely,
if they're planning on using him 2 innings, then that's not a big deal,
It is tricky, and it has thrown a curve. I really thought it would be Oscar Inoa. I really thought it'd be Inoa. He's been so good at home this year. Well, I'm surprised. He did get lit up in that one start at Milwaukee this year, but all right. So no move here, but the taint play of the day is in. The taint is the under 8.5 in Brewers Braves. And Ron Crawford's spreadsheet play of the day is in. He's not.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was the taint play? The taint play was the under?
Under 8.5.
Yeah, I would be leaning first 5 under. And the under is, I might be leaning that way as well. I just can't make it official, Jimmy the Bag. But I endorse those plays.
And the other play he's endorsing is the spreadsheet play of the day on the Braves. We also have a spreadsheet play of the day on the Dodgers. And Cheshire Cat says, I feel better with Morton on 3 days rest than Inoa. Yeah. I get it.
Again,
Well,
go ahead.
Take it away, Pete. No, you take it away.
No, I was going to say I endorse the underplays. I endorse the spreadsheet plays by virtue of the fact that they're spreadsheet plays of the days, and Ron Crawford gets that much respect. But I don't personally endorse them just because the lines are too high,
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I hear you what you're saying, Cheshire Cat. My feeling was, you have the opportunity to save Morton for Game 5 on regular rest, and why not do that? That's as simple as it was for me. But yes, I agree. I guess I would take Morton on 3 days rest over Inoa. So I agree with you, Cheshire Cat. All right, let's move on. We got Dennis Trusty in the house. Great to see you, Trusty. He says Brewers Braves could be a first 5 under and full game over, but I do think the first 5 is the more the one that he will play.
Yeah.
We move on to Giants-Dodgers. Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles, California, 69 Fahrenheit, clear 9 miles per hour, out to right. Now, is this DeSclafani versus Tony Gonsolin? Do we even know that at this point?
I would assume that, yeah.
Okay, so let's just move forward as if it's DeSclafani.
Well, I would assume it's DeSclafani, but it could be Buehler would be on 3 days rest. That would be, again, it could be Buehler on 3 days rest, planning to use him only for 2 innings or something like that,
You're absolutely right. Ski Profits is DeSclafani, 7.33 ERA versus LA in 6 starts. You know what time it is. Robert Cherry in the house. Robert Cherry's still been riding hot. He's on the under 8.5. He's on taint. He's on Dodgers under 8.5. White Sox first 5 -0.5. App State, Tampa Bay money line, and Vegas -1.5. And Sharpie is saying Gonsolin, DeSclafani, which is at this point what I expect as well, Sharpie. Let's go. DeSclafani, 13-7, 3.17 ERA, 1.09 WHIP, 167 2/3, 152 Ks, 42 walks, and his last start was nice, very nice. It was October 1st, 5 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 3 Ks, 3-0 win at home versus the Padres. But Ski's absolutely right. He has struggled against the Dodgers this year. Let's go over his starts. The first one was May 23rd versus the Dodgers, and he got torched. 2 2/3. It was at home. 2 2/3, 9 hits, 10 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. Then he faces him just 5 days later, and he pitches much better. This was at Chavez Ravine, 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 homer, 4 walks, 3 Ks. Then he faces him again on June 28th at LA. He has an okay start, 3 earned runs, 5 hits, 5 innings. Then he does the double dip against them once again, July 22nd, July 28th. July 22nd at Chavez Ravine, a good start, 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, quality, 1 walk, 7 Ks. Then faces them 6 days later, and they smash him. 2 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. But then he faces him one final time on September 3rd, and he looks very good again. 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. His splits are very good. He's been good at home and on the road. Let's start with DeSclafani. Let me just give you the baseball data here against DeSclafani. They're hitting .315 with an .854 OPS against them. Your expectations of DeSclafani?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was writing dialogue in my head for the low bag movie. I want to put that down somewhere. Listen, I think that DeSclafani, I think if you're going to bet the Dodgers here, definitely take them on the first 5. I would not want, to bet against, in the later innings, betting against the Dodgers as a big dog like this. It's just the line is just so high. Again, yesterday I was really shocked by the Dodgers line, and I'm not just saying that just because they happened to pull it out. My stats, I understand that he's gotten hit hard by the Dodgers, and the spot, I like the Dodgers as well, which is probably, part of why Ron Crawford's spreadsheet likes them too. But my stats are not too down on DeSclafani. Based on the current lines, it's just my basic overall statistical analysis says that the Giants are just getting disrespected here at the current line. So, if I was going to fade DeSclafani here, which is definitely justifiable, I would take the Dodgers first 5, which is only about 143 at Pinnacle I'm seeing right now, So, and if I was going to take the Giants, I'd obviously take them full game at a big line. Could easily see the Giants coming back later and being down early and then winning late.
Big shout out to Don't Ask, Don't Tell, $20 dono. Thank you so much for your support. Day after day, you support us here, and it means so much to us. It says Pete Rock in that Joe Torre costume. Says Hubin. Nutflush Allen says DeSclafani will have an extremely short leash. They will make it a bullpen day, which the last time the Dodgers faced a bullpen day from the Giants, we all know how that worked. Giants cash. And then Sharpie says Dodgers own DeSclafani. San Francisco number 1 versus right-handed pitching, average OPS last 30. How is the wind today? It's 9 miles per hour out to right. He shakes his head. So he's looking at an over right there. Kev Riley in the house. By the way, Kev Riley absolutely eating right now. He's hit 14 straight winners. 14 straight winners.
In what?
All across the board. It's over about probably about a week and a half, and he's he's on his hottest streak I've ever seen him, and we've kept with him for a few years now. So I love seeing Kev eating like this. Okay, so look, I get why Sharpie thinks the over is in play, and Pinnacle has moved this total from 7.5 to 8. In fact, this 7.5 came out, Pete, at 9:59 a.m. and it lasted for 4 minutes before it moved to 8. But then it moved back down to 7.5, and when it moved back down to 7.5, it was only there for 12 minutes before it bounced up to 8, and then back 7.5 into 8.
I don't know. If I had been doing the show yesterday, I'm sure I would have said the exact same things I'm saying now. I can't believe the Giants are such a big dog. My stats say that they have good value. I probably wouldn't have given it as an official play, and I can't give the Giants as an official play today either for no real reason other than just fear of giving a losing pick publicly. But the numbers just say that this is too big of an underdog line to be giving the Giants.
I agree. Yet I also am fearful of pulling the trigger in this spot. Hoops59 says it's an over or no play on the total. Cheshire Cat says that with you, Loshak. And the Sweaty Butcher says you look stunning.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, he says, are you using a filter, Pete? Yeah, I'm using the playoff filter, Playa, playoff filter, which is why I look the way I do. Man, we might gotta make a low bag movie, Jimmy the Bag. And I'll say to Jose, when he comes asking me bankroll, I'll be like, you got a real arrogant streak in you. But I like that. From the Karate Kid. No? You don't like it? You're a real arrogant little prick. I like that.
Nuke Worker has got to go back to work. Says good luck today. Nuke Worker up at Darlington Nuclear. To everybody up at Darlington Nuclear, much love to you. Thank you for sharing your finest, Nuke Worker, with us. All right, let's go. Let's absolutely go. Move on. I've made no moves on this MLB card. The Say Hey play of the day's Astros team total over 4. Ron Crawford spreadsheet plays of the day are Atlanta and the Dodgers. Tank play of the day's Atlanta and Milwaukee, full game under 8.5. But Pete and I have not pushed the button. All right. Let's move on.
And again, as others have said in previous shows, these games in particular might be great for live betting if you really know what you're doing, or if you're really following teams very closely.
All right. Remo says, I've never wanted to touch another man's face more than right now with Pete.
All right, that's Remos. You're a little creepy over there, but I like that because you remind me of me.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe I'll take that out of me.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. Okay, let's move on. Okay, we move on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we head to college football. A little Tuesday Sun Belt action. App State Mountaineers 4-1, 1-0 in conference at Louisiana. Ragin Cajuns 4-1, 2-0 in conference. We're at Cajun Field in Lafayette, Louisiana. Let's start with the market and then move towards the cash flow. Here we go. We have App State opening up at -3.5, going up to -5, and now coming back to -4. This move happened 20 minutes ago. A 1-point move towards the Ragin Cajuns. Interesting. And then from a total perspective, opened up at 54.5, and we are now sitting at a 57. Hoops are nice, and the weather is fine in Lafayette. Sammy Comer is on the first app over at 27.5. And Cindy plays horses, says, love me some NHL team total points, hammering hard. We're very close, Cindy. We're very close, and trust me, I'm pumped. Okay. Let's move over to the cash flow in this spot and see what we are dealing with. We have 5,901 tickets in, 67% of tickets, 82% of the cash on the spread on App State. And we've seen a 1-point move over to the Ragin Cajuns, not from the opener. Again, the opener was, 3.5?
Yeah.
A +5 would be appealing if I could get it, but Bet365 has moved to 4.5 as well.
Wow.
So then we have a total with 40% of the tickets on the under and 85% of the cash on the under. And what I've been doing on these standalone nights, and something that I was talking about with my man Noli Knows, is just waiting till 10 minutes before kickoff. Money's going to come in on the over. It keeps coming in on the over on these standalone college football games. Okay, let's break this down a little more. App State's won 9 or more games every year since 2015. Look, they're a good football team. 2 weeks ago, they squeaked by Marshall by 1 point at home on September 23rd as 7-point favorites. They put up 566 yards of offense compared to Marshall's 397, 39 first downs compared to Marshall's 20, but two turnovers almost cost them. They followed that up with a 45-16 win at Georgia State as 10-point favorites. Chase Bryce, look, we've seen him play poorly with Clemson and Duke. He's been good here. He is the passing attack is the third top passing attack in the Sun Belt, putting up 284.2 yards per game, 1,360 yards. He's thrown for 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. And it's not Cameron Peoples who's doing all of the hard work on the ground. He gets the ball in the red zone, but it's Nate Noel, 511 yards, 6.4 yards per carry compared to Cameron Peoples' 5.3. Louisiana's won 4 straight since opening loss at Texas. The last 2 are on the road, and they didn't come easy, and they didn't look good. They won at Georgia Southern 2 weeks ago, 28-20 as 14.5-point favorites. They were outgained 453 to 378 in that one. Then they won 2018 at South Alabama as 12-point favorites. Again, they were heavily outgained by the underdogs, 387 to 283, and they held the ball for just 23 minutes and 13 seconds. Levi Lewis had his worst start of the year, 9 for 20 for 49 yards. So after allowing 38 points to Texas in the opener, this team is not allowed an opponent to score more than 24 in each of the last 4 games. And they're only getting 5.9 yards per play. That's 7th in the Sun Belt. They're scoring 23.6 points per game. And App State is leading the Sun Belt in the defensive scoring at 20 points per game. And, that was last fall. Why do I have that here? So that was last year, 20 points per game. But they're off to a good start in 2021. Pistol Pete, take it away here. App State, Louisiana.
All right. Well, this is kind of a tough one, Jimmy the Bag. Overall, the games you've assigned to me in previous weeks, I've had a pretty good read on and given pretty good picks on. When I looked at this one, I mean, this is tough because Appalachian State so far this year is clearly superior. They've been excellent, as you've said, on both sides of the ball, and I think it's real. Their roster is very deep and experienced, and Louisiana Lafayette should have been better than they've been so far this year. They might. I'm assuming that they'll improve. Their defense should have been a lot better than it's been so far, and at home as a dog. When I handicapped the game at 5 and 57, my leans were slightly to Louisiana at 5 and more so to the under at 57. And I know it's gotten bet higher now, so I might give the under as an official play here. I think that there's going to be both teams are going to try to establish the run here, and both defenses are going to rise to the occasion. So I'd probably be leaning first half under and full game under as well. I hope you don't want the offenses are excellent too. So points can get added at any time during the game, and that could happen in the second half. I'd be leaning full game under and a little bit more so first half under, and I might give those as official picks despite the quality of the offenses.
I want the under.
Yeah.
I want the under as well, but I think I will wait at this point. I think I will wait. Cab says, don't let people scare you from the points. App State is a better team. Leonard
significantly better. Sorry, go ahead.
Leonard Port Jr. says, I'm here in Lafayette, 24/7. The weather's gorgeous, 86 Fahrenheit, clear skies. They have historically had issues getting the student body at these national games, but this one is being hyped up big time.
Yeah, I mean, and Louisiana and Lafayette, you can give them their underwhelming performances. At this point in the season, if a team has had a bunch of underwhelming performances on the road, but you expected them to be a lot better in the beginning of the season based on preseason rankings, you can sometimes make an educated guess and give them a little bit of a pass or benefit of the doubt or whatever, or an excuse or a mulligan or whatever the hell it's called for underwhelming road performances. And they haven't really had a chance to prove themselves at home yet.
No, that's a good point. Those were just – their offense did not look good those last two road games, but things should be easier at home, or they're going up against even a tougher defense than the last 2 weeks. But they weren't soft defenses they just went up against.
And also, one other thing is that a lot of times it gets overlooked because it usually doesn't matter that much, but Louisiana's also having some serious issues with their kicker, right? They're using a kicker who's like missing extra points, missing field goals that he should hit. So that's a problem as well,
Yeah, Puzzler saying that exact thing. Says special teams problems, bad long snapper and worst kicker. Missed both field goal attempts from 42 and 43, and 1 for 3 on points after last game.
All right, I'm seeing a 30 at Heritage. I'll say the name. They're a good book. Under 30, first half under 30. I'll take it as an official play.
What's the juice with that?
110 at Heritage. Current.
Minus 110. I like that spot. And I agree with having some fear about the full game because both offenses are capable of quick strike. And
yes.
Although if App has a lead, they will just run the ball down the Ragin' Cajuns' throat. So I don't dislike the full game at all. But I can understand why you moved on the first half. Do you have any other reasons for moving on the first half more than the full game?
Just because I think that it is an intense game, as people talked about. These are still two of the top teams in Sun Belt, so it'll be an intense atmosphere, and I think it might be a little, not a playoff atmosphere, but it'll be an intense, maybe a little bit conservative game plan to start. The total's a little bit high, and both offenses, should be good. But both offenses are excellent as well, and Louisiana and Lafayette's defense and Lafayette's defense should have been better than it's been so far this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they make an unexpected improvement as well. And it's not a low total. 30 is a decent total for first. And 57.5 is as well.
I like it. Cab killing college football says App State to play. Cajuns can't tackle. App State will score until they want to chill. Right now, Kev Riley, who, as I said, is just absolutely white hot, is leaning towards the White Sox, but it's not making it a play yet. And Wham says, I like the standalone college football under ideology. It's been working, and Noli knows and I have been talking about it. And look what it did for us last week in that the Arkansas State game, and that went up from, I believe, a 68, the Coastal Carolina, 68 to 75. It ended up at 75, and I got in, and I was lucky because they ended up scoring 72 points, but there was only 24 points scored in the first half. All right. There you go. Great job. There's Eric Thomas in the house. Great to have Trot Wham with us as well.
Hell yeah, shout out to Trot Wham. I didn't see that guy. Hell yeah, shout out to Trot Wham. Trot Wham. I'm trying to get Jimmy the Bag to make a low bag movie. Help me with this. You have to play an integral part and DJ Big Boss.
I'm going to move. Yeah. I'm going to move on this with you. I just don't know when at this point. And I don't believe there'll be much movement on that first half total. There certainly will be on the full game total. I'm going to move on this with you, though. Pete, on the first half, under 30 at minus 110. I will be rolling with you as well. Okay.
Big Boss says, Pete looks like my public defender. Hell yeah. I propose that my client, DJ Big Boss, could not have committed this crime. Shout out to you, DJ Big Boss.
Oh, by the way, Pete, just so you know, Natalio, our lawyer, our low bag lawyer, he's not been seen for 2.5 years. I even went online and I found he's a partner in a new with a new firm. He's a partner. His name's on the firm, and he came back into our chat this past week, wanted to say hi to you, so he's good. Our low bag lawyer,
made partner. Wow, hell yeah. Wherever you are, shout out to you.
All right, let's go. There's the first half under from Pete Loshak, and I want in on this under too. I'm just going to see if I should wait or not. So I'll keep a close eye.
And I would be okay with full game under as well. I just don't really want to double up on my official record on this one.
I like it. All right, let's move on to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And the NHL for the first time in a long time. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Pittsburgh Penguins at Tampa Bay Lightning, Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida. And let's move to the market, but let's talk about a couple things here, and we'll look at the cash. First off,
Can I give 2 picks on this game and then a 5-second analysis?
Yes.
Okay. I know the line is moved, but Tampa Bay -1 and Penguins team total under 2.5. Analysis is just, come on. That's my analysis of those plays. Come on.
Lightning -1 and Pens.
I got it at I missed the opener, but I got it at -199. I know it's moved a huge amount, and the team total I got at -121. I think that's moved as well. Is this not? Is this not a no-brainer? Low-hanging fruit, Jimmy the Bag. You tell me.
No, it's not. It's not low-hanging fruit. It's not, and it never is with the Pittsburgh Penguins, because they have a rich history of stepping up when they don't have one of Crosby or Malkin. So now they don't have Malkin for 2 months. They don't have Crosby coming off the wrist surgery for a few days, and they don't have Guentzel. Guentzel with COVID. They don't have their 3 best players. Look. It's not a rare occurrence for us to see a team raise the banner as Stanley Cup champions and then get pushed around in the first period.
Yes.
So, look, I get that this appears to be low-hanging fruit. I guess it appears to be. What was the puck line? You got -199 on the money line. What did you get on the puck line?
Well, on the overnight line, I got those were overnight lines. I'm not gonna give. Things change, but I will never give stale lines in any show ever. I'm gonna have to give what it is now. At Pinnacle -235 and +112 on the puck line. I also would lean under, unless you disagree with that, and the Penguins team total under at 2.5. But I want to hear. I'll hold off on the official stuff before I hear your take on it, Jimmy.
Okay, well, I don't look. Clearly, the Lightning should walk all over this team. I just don't expect them to do that, because I've watched this Penguins team step up in the face of adversity in situations just like this often, and we see this Lightning team. We've watched how strong they are. They're going for their, 3rd straight Stanley Cup championship. But they're going to watch the banner go up, and they're going to look across at let's go over the line combos for the Pittsburgh Penguins here without their top 3 forwards. Supposedly, we have Johnny K saying Guentzel should be good. I thought he was already confirmed out with COVID that he's not going to be able to prove himself before that. But Carter, Rust, and Heinen. Rust coming off a monster season, his best season of his career last year. Kasperi Kapanen, Evan Rodriguez, Jason Zucker, McGinn, Bluger, Dominic Simon, Lafferty, Boyle, Drew O'Connor. I've just seen this too often. Deacon Mike says 5-2 final score. I get it. And, our birdie, he got in on Tampa a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and got beautiful lines on each side. But I will never, and there he is. Says, I wish I had posted it, but he did it in our chat. He said Vasilevsky was absolutely dominant versus Florida in the final preseason game. Tampa Bay plus 170 minus 1.5 he got. But I do not want – in fact, the only moves that I'm close to making and I wanted to talk out were Penguins first period and the full game under are the only two spots that I'm looking to attack. And it opened up at 6. It's now at 5.5. When did it move to –
I have no data for it, but yes, in any sport, the defending champion is vulnerable early on, unless they're dynasty, And then I haven't looked at the difference between teams that have won 2 championships in a row versus ones that have just won 1. But it seems to me that Tampa Bay is like maybe beyond that,
Look, I get it, but this Pens team. Right now, without Crosby, without Malkin, without Guentzel, they've just continually stepped up in situations like this. And look, we have 2 huge favorites tonight, and I'm on one of them. I'm just not on the Lightning. And both of these dogs have similar situations. They're both going to play their hearts out tonight, and I'm interested in the Penguins' first period. I don't know if I have the balls to make that my first bet of the year, and I probably should have moved on this at 6, but I didn't. So the only other thing I would look at is maybe a first period under 1.5, and that first period under 1.5 is at plus money, plus 115 at Bet365. I think that sounds really nice to me. Maybe what? I'm gonna pop that here right now, but I think that would be the first period under 1.5 at plus money. I think that's a very nice looking spot, and then I can stay away from the full game when maybe the Penguins get beat down. Mr. Goxer says first period under. I like that, but I can understand the thought that you have with this game. I mean, we have very sharp cappers in the chat who feel the same way as you. And big shout out to Arthur Mead Jr. Thank you so much for your support of what we do here, Arthur. It means so much to us.
Yeah, now I'm concerned. You bet Pittsburgh yet, or what did you bet, Jim?
No, I've done nothing. I've done nothing on this game. Absolutely nothing. I wanted to talk. There was just no way I was going to take Tampa in this situation. Now look, I have a vividness bias that's affecting this spot, but this Penguins team would lose Crosby or Malkin and would be lights out. Then they get one of them back and almost be, wouldn't be able to maintain the success that they'd had. I just think that this is not a spot where I want to take the Stanley Cup champion. It's huge favorites watching their banner go up against a team that's missing their star players. It just does not make me comfortable.
But last year they were in the same spot and they won comfortably, right?
It's not. They did and were. It's not. And that was against Florida, right? Wasn't that against the Panthers?
I don't remember. Yeah.
I believe that was against the Panthers, but I don't have that in front of me. And if it was against the Panthers, look, they have a lot to prove, the Panthers, to Tampa. And Tampa wants to keep the Panthers down, and that's a different situation. Here's a Pittsburgh team missing their best players on the first night of the season. Like, it just –
Yeah, I hear you, Jim.
I'm not – and we already heard – I already heard the from our guy, Ron Crawford. He's on the Penguins plus 1.5 in this spot. If you like that, you should wait. But, I think that the first period under 1.5 will be my first. I mean, I've made a bet this year, but the game's on the Golden Knights game at 10:15. So I think that's what I'm going to move on is the first period under 1.5 at plus 115. I think I'm getting a really nice price on that. And yeah.
Okay. Maybe I got some things to think about. I was all ready to give the Penguins team total under 2.5 and Tampa Bay -1 as official plays, but maybe I got some things to think about.
I don't. We're going to go over each team in the NHL.
Yeah.
And
I like the under 2 at 6 as well. I like that one too.
I should have moved on it at 6, and I guess it just took me as it does sometimes, just a little bit of time to figure out that was the move. Now it's at 5.5. Maybe it goes back up to 6. Maybe, possibly. Cheshire Cat says that just feels really wrong. I get it, Cheshire Cat. And look, I'm not betting the Penguins. I've seen teams step up in this type of situation too often to sit here. And now the Kraken are in that same situation. So I am going to move on that first period under 1.5 at plus 115. That will be a spot that I will be moving on with almost full certainty. I'd say I'm 90% of the way there. I like the plus line beside it. And I do expect I expect the Pens to be fired up. And the Lightning, I don't know exactly what they're going to be like. So
right.
That's my spot there. Pete, did you want to make anything official, or do you want to move on to Kraken?
No, I was going to say, Penguins team total under 2.5, Tampa Bay -1 official, and lean under at 6. But I think I'll hold off.
Well, I don't think you're in the wrong.
Yeah, you do. You just went out for like 10 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I know. I hear you, Jimmy the Bag. Yeah. No. We're working this out.
Dav fans on Lightning, so confident on Lightning. And Deacon Mike says fired up. That's why there's going to be goals scored.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also wonder what would I get on. I'm sure it's not going to be a good price. I'd be very curious to see something here. Let's just move over to first period here. What would I get on the Pens plus I have -145? I certainly won't do that. Just looking at Pens plus 0.5. Okay, let's move on here to 10:15 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Kraken at Las Vegas Golden Knights. We're at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sorry, we got some baby feeding here in my apartment. Carter, looking for titty as he should. So the Kraken are expected to be without 5 players for the season opener at Vegas due to COVID-19 protocols. This is a 100% vaccinated group. It sucks. It's too bad. Because these are big, important players on the Kraken that aren't going to be in the lineup. And with the ridiculous contracts, now I don't hate the Pettersson. I don't hate the bridge contracts that Benning has just handed out to Pettersson and Hughes. I don't hate them at all. But I would, if you had 2 franchises here with their players, the Canucks and the Kraken, who would you want? I would want the Kraken's roster over what Benning has done to the Canucks roster. When Ron Francis did the draft, we looked and we're like, this is terrible. But Ron Francis is an extremely smart guy. You knew he had to have a plan together, and I like this team. I love their goaltending. I really like their defense. And their forwards aren't bad. But Jared McCann, Jonas Donskoy, Marcus Johansson, and now defenseman Jamie Oleksiak are on the COVID-19 protocol list. They already have Kalle Jarnkrok on that protocol list since last week. McCann's been centering that top line of Eberle and Schwartz. Donskoy and Johansson are expected to fill very important spots on the second and third line. Oleksiak is a top 4 forward. They already have Yanni Gourde, they picked up off the Lightning. He's still dealing with his offseason shoulder surgery. That is too much to lose. And a thing here, like, remember you said last year how the Lightning were, I believe it was Lightning, Florida. I feel like it was Lightning, Tampa Bay, Florida in that first game. And I think the same thing about Vegas being this storybook 2017 season that no one had ever seen before in any sport. Across the 4 major sports, we'd never seen a team come in like they did and make it this Stanley Cup final. I think they're going to want to beat the Kraken up.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to have some pride on the line to make sure that the Kraken don't experience, or at least don't get out of the gate, sort of the way Vegas did. And remember what Vegas was able to do at home last year, 21-5-2. So Mr. Gokster says 4 guys could play. Mr. Gokster says 4 guys could play.
All right, well, Jimmy the Bag, my take on this, I'm high on Seattle in general this year. I think they're undervalued a little bit. I agree that I don't necessarily love them for this game, though. I kind of like the under, and I was going to give the Vegas team total under 3.5 minus 128. So maybe Vegas even dominates and wins 3-1 or 3-0 or something like that. I agree with you. Seattle's goaltending looks like it's going to be great. That's what I was going to do. Vegas team total under. You don't like that?
I don't dislike that at all. When we go over to the moves Vegas did in the offseason, I don't like the way they handled Marc-Andre Fleury over the last couple of years. But I love the Nolan Patrick pickup and the Cody Glass trade for Nolan Patrick. I think Nolan Patrick has an enormous upside. Chandler Stevenson did win me over after watching him as a full year as a number one line center. And with Stevenson, Pacioretty, and Stone, you keep that wild Bill Riley, Smith, Jonathan Marchessault line together. Dadonov has a ton to prove, and now he's here with, in Vegas. And Pietrangelo was so good. And you have Shea Theodore, who's, a Norris Trophy type defenseman. I think that this Vegas Golden Knights team is going to be very good again this year. I mean, it's easy to say. And I think Seattle, their defense and goaltending is going to be very strong. So what would you get for the under 3.5?
Well, minus 128. Some interesting comments from the comments section. Real Deal Prime says Kraken are doomed this season. Easy bottom team. I kind of feel the opposite. I think that they might have some betting value. Man,
I think they're going to have a lot of betting value. I think at home, it's just going to be rocking. I want people to think like Real Deal Prime. I think that will only help us. Now, I'm not sitting here thinking they're going to have anything like the storybook season. And Real Deal Prime's a great capper, so I have no disrespect to Real Deal Prime. But I want people to think that the Kraken are going to get abused and beaten. I want nice plus lines on them. And, Mr. Ghosty said teams have no video on this team. North Ender liking the under as well. And Mike M says, as a Flyers fan, Nolan Patrick committed armed robbery. Vegas can have him. I think he's got enormous upside. And, yeah, I mean, look, when a player misses the full year because of migraines, it's hard to quantify what's going on with him. So I could understand when you pick someone second overall and he sucks, that you'll be angry about it. I remember what he did in juniors. I remember seeing him. I think he can be very special.
Yeah.
So with all that being said,
yeah, I'll make it official, and I'll dedicate this pick to Eric Thomas, who says, Loshak still in Brownsville. He ain't a rat. Yeah, look, I haven't led a perfect life. I've made a lot of mistakes, but I ain't a fucking rat, okay? And I'm going to be on Vegas. Team total under 3.5 minus 128.
Team total under 3.5 at minus 128. We are starting a season together now, Pete and I, from the very beginning of the season, so it'll be easy to track. So I'll start a spreadsheet for Pete. He'll have his own spreadsheet because this is just 1 day a week. And it's tricky. It's very tricky when you only get 1 day a week to put in action. So I know how hard that will be. Sydney Place Horses is on the under 42.5 wins at minus 150. And I moved on Vegas minus 1.5 at plus 100. And that's that. Now we have the fun of going through each and every team in the NHL. So let's get to work. We start with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're going to start with the Atlantic Division. We're going to go down the teams in order of their odds. So
how about Jimmy the Bag? Do you want me to start with just a quick, 30-second rundown of my points plays that I'm going to give officially? And then you can keep those in mind and tell me what you think of them, or you can tell me what you think of them as I give them.
I'd be more excited to hear them as we get to each team.
Okay,
Cool.
Go ahead.
So anytime we come to a team that you have a future on, I'd love to hear that. The Lightning are the second favorites to win the Cup over the Avalanche. Avalanche at plus 450, and that's just a bet I can't make for either. To win the conference, the Lightning are plus 275. Again, that's just I don't see the risk reward there. And to win the division, the Lightning are plus 145, which I don't really like either. And I don't like the Leafs or the Bruins. I don't think the Bruins are going to be bad. I think the Krejci loss is enormous, and we'll talk more about that. But I think the Panthers, and I bet the Panthers to win the division here. The Panthers have so much to prove, and the Lightning have shown us before that they do not need to win a division to win a Stanley Cup. So let's just quickly go over the situation for the Lightning. The Palat, Point, Kucherov line is easily one of the best in hockey with Palat's ability to be a two-way forward. Braden Point now taking over as this team's, I mean, we know that Kucherov is the most important player, but Braden Point taking over from Stamkos as that second most important player. Stamkos, Cirelli, and Killorn on that second line. Colton, Corey Perry, Matthew Joseph. Fun getting Corey Perry to come in on the third line, bring his leadership skills. Then Patrick Maroon, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Taylor Radish on the fourth line. Hedman is an absolute monster. He's an absolute monster, and he just continually exceeds our expectations. He'll be a Norris Trophy candidate every year. McDonough has had more longevity in his career than I actually expected, and he's still playing well. You got Jan Ruda, Eric Cernak, Bogosian, and Sergachev. Sergachev, I'm very interested to see what he's capable of doing as he gets older. Is he going to take the reign, as to be a top defenseman? Because right now he's still on the third unit. And then you have Vasilevsky and Brian Elliott. You have, in my estimation, the team that should be favored to win the Stanley Cup this year over the Avalanche, but I'm not going to bet them for anything. Do you have any interest in these Tampa Bay Lightning, future-wise?
You said Tampa Bay should be favored over the Avalanche.
I believe so. I think it's a. I do not think. Look, I'm a huge Avalanche fan and backer, but I do not think they have the depth.
Man, you are really in this. You are really see. So you would rate Tampa Bay over the Avalanche, but you don't like them tonight against Pittsburgh. Okay, yeah, okay. No, I'm not going to. I don't have a play on the Tampa Bay points total. No.
And this point total for the Tampa Bay Lightning right now, 106.5.
Yeah.
If I had a free pick, I would take the under. I don't see a reason why. They just simply don't need to be first in their division. They don't need to force it in the regular season. They could come second or third in their division and be just fine. And maybe the under is the play. I wish you could take a first half under because I do not expect them to be blowing anybody out of the water in the first 40 games, but they'll get their shit together soon. And Mr. Go says Rangers are the team out of the East, Blackhawks out of the West.
Let's go Rangers. Where's Dom Ricci at? Let's go Rangers.
But Dommy Gun's an Islanders guy.
Yeah?
Right?
Oh, okay.
He's an Islanders guy.
At least you get the joke, though.
He would. All right, let's move on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And this is my first bet of the year. And the 2-unit bet for me was the Leafs season total under 105.5. It was slightly juiced, minus 125. At Sports Interaction, it's 106.5 and minus 133. To win the division, these Leafs are plus 200. I don't think they can do that at all. To win the conference, plus 550. And to win outright, the Leafs are 11-1. And with those numbers, with those odds, I thought, man, God, this will create value for other teams like the Islanders and Panthers, even though they're not in the same division, and the Hurricanes, even if you're high on them. But this roster, to me, we have a general manager in Kyle Dubas who is what I consider a fanboy of hockey, and he does not make shrewd decisions. And if I was the coach, I would feel handcuffed. I would say, where is my fourth line? How can we not have a team that's hard? I need a team that's hard to play against. And when you have a fourth line with Wayne Simmons and Jason Spezza on it, you're completely handcuffed. Now, Mike Amadio coming in over from the Kings, the jury's out on what he can do. But you're supposed to have a fourth line like the New York Islanders. The Islanders have a fourth line that will beat you up. It will intimidate you. They start every period on the ice because they set a tone for the Islanders' games. What do you do with Spezza and Simmons? The fact that Spezza was so good last year and, raised the money for the AHL team, the players on the AHL teams, played well in the playoffs, exceeded expectations during the season, it hurts the Leafs. because now you have to bring them back. And what do you do with them? Having Simmons and Thornton and Spets on your team last year was some of the worst managing I could possibly imagine. And now we have a situation where you're paying Tavares and Marner and Nylander and Matthews so much money that you have the top 6 forwards that include Alexander Kerfoot and Michael Bunting. I mean, and Andre Cachet can help on the third line, but this is a problem. I'm not high on their defense, although I think that Rasmus Sandin can get better and better, and Jake Muzzin can be enormously quality. But you have Mikheyev, who needs to step up. He's injured right now. Matthews, who's going to be out for the first few games. And I do not like this hockey team. What do you think, Pete?
My numbers had them not even a lean for their points total at 105.5. I have that ranked as even. So, but yeah, so that makes me think that that you're dead on. That makes me like what you have to say a lot more.
Cool. I do not like this hockey team. It's just Sheldon Keefe. Sheldon Keefe just has his hands tied. I mean, he's just not capable of changing. See, what you want to do as a coach is you want to have players that can change the energy of a game, can change the flow of a game, and you want to be a tough team to play against. And the Leafs just have the top flight offense, and Tavares is not one of those anymore. Tavares is going to become a character guy, a character leader who's scoring 40 points a year. That's who Tavares is going to become. I think they're in trouble. Okay, so we move on to another team that I think is way overrated, and that is the Boston Bruins. Boston Bruins. Tell me that, look, and I like Charlie Coyle, I always have, but that he can replace David Krejci is absolutely ludicrous. And those of you who have Taylor Hall in your hockey pools are going to be screwed unless Marchand gets hurt and Taylor Hall moves up onto that first line, because Krejci is an excellent hockey player. He does everything right. He's having Bergeron and Krejci as your 1 and 2 center. Now, I know Krejci had a lot of injury troubles, but are there 2 better centers in the league than these 2 guys? They're so defensively, they are so accountable. They win faceoffs. They make their pass first centers, which is almost a dying breed, in the NHL. And you want to say that Eric Haula and Charlie Coyle are going to be the second and third line centerman. You're not going to miss Krejci, and that Taylor Hall will be the player that you saw last year without Krejci. Krejci had a great year last year, a better year than I even remember. I believe he scored 44 points in 51 games. I mean, you don't even need that offense from Krejci. I think Charlie McAvoy, if he can, he's got the heart issues. He's got these heart problems. If he can stay healthy, he's a Norris Trophy candidate. If his heart issues creep up, well, then the Bruins are screwed. Now, they'll still probably make the playoffs, but what happens if McAvoy's heart... I couldn't pick him in the hockey pool last night because I'm still worried about his heart issues. Linus Ullmark, is he Linus Ullmark going to be the number 1 goaltender that he's showing tiny examples of? I don't know. That's a huge question mark to me.
Jim, you're fucking amazing. You know how there's musicians who go to Berkeley who are so good at music that only other musicians can really appreciate them? That's what you're like with hockey, man. This is unreal.
I don't know. That's I don't know if I'm quite there, but it's very kind of you to say. Mr. Ghost says,
when I look at the Bruins, I see the top line is old and they have real problems with depth. But when I ran the numbers, it's expecting another good season for them based on the analytics I look at, which you talked about. Hockey analytics are not up to snuff compared to other sports. So I trust you totally on the Bruins.
Well, look, there's a reason why the first line is called the perfection line.
Right.
They're spectacular. They do everything that you need, and but they've all dealt with injury problems. We've not seen them each play 82 games or 80 games in the season. And now you don't have Krejci to take over when Bergeron's down. They're going to be a good hockey team. Don't get me wrong. They're vulnerable. And Krejci is one hell of a hockey player who's gone over to finish his career in the Czech Republic.
All right.
Let's move on to the Florida Panthers. Now, I want to talk about this team because I want to know whether I should move on them to win the conference or win the cup, something I haven't done. To win the cup right now, they're plus 2,000. To win the conference, the Panthers are plus 1,000. And to win the division, the bet I made, they're plus 450. A lot of when we talk about the Panthers is what are we going to get from Sam Bennett? He scored 15 points in 10 games in the regular season with Florida. This guy had such an enormously high ceiling, and nothing went right in Calgary, and I don't understand why. I don't know what it was that didn't work out for him. So this opportunity he has to be a second-line center, I think that he's capable of being a very tough player to play against, and we know what Barkov can do. He's so spectacular defensively. He's so accountable, and he's also so good offensively. Verhaeghe, at what you're paying him, is a really nice spot to have. He's a speedster who's come over from the Lightning. And Sammy Reinhart, I picked in the hockey pool last night. I think Sammy Reinhart is going to show everybody how good he is, and I can't believe that the Sabres got rid of him. And Dennis Garcia says, so Boston loses a 35-year-old and you get scared. I thought they were old. No recommendation, no line seems fair. Yeah. Yes, Dennis, that's exactly right. I think that Krejci is a very, very good hockey player, and I do not think that that Charlie Coyle can possibly supplant what he was doing. And look how many goals did Taylor Hall score last year in the Bruins? I think he scored 10. 8 of them were assisted by Krejci. So yeah, look, they're an old team, and their superstar defenseman, who's 23, has serious heart issues. What do you want me to say, Dennis? What did your numbers tell you with these Florida Panthers?
At 101.5, liking the over. But again, I have a few picks that I'm definitely going to give officially, regardless of what you say. Although I'll be very concerned if you disagree even a little bit. But this one, the edge is modest, but over, and I think that squares with the way you're seeing this team as well.
I need to study. I was trying to study Mackenzie Weegar more yesterday, because Aaron Ekblad has been a disappointment for me, but that's just because I compare him to Victor Hedman, and I shouldn't. The problem that's going to be around this team's neck is Sergei Bobrovsky. You're paying him $10 million a year. He's untradeable, and Spencer Knight may deserve to be the number one goaltender. Then what happens with Bobrovsky? And then what happens if you're trying to build around this team? I didn't like the Joe Thornton pickup, although I don't think it's terrible by any means, but I don't quite understand why it was done. I think Anthony Duclair can be a top flight winger, but he's somebody right now he's on the fourth line of the depth chart, which is strange. And we know what Barkov and Huberdeau are going to give you, but Mr. Go says Knight might eventually take his job. Knight could take his job in the first month of the season, and then what are you going to do with him sulking on the bench? Dennis Garcia says Knight should start. So it's too bad that you're going to have $10 million wrapped around Bobrovsky's neck. Slatsy says Panthers stacked, 1 game away from knocking off Tampa. Remember, Ekblad was out, took a future on them, plus 2,200 to win the cup. Spencer Knight gets better each game. I wonder if I should add to this. I have them to win the division.
All right, I'll make that an official pick. It's definitely not one of my favorites of the picks I'm going to give, but 101.5 minus 115. I'm just going to use 2 books, Bet Online and Heritage, and take the best out of both of those. But I'll make that official. Over 1.5 minus 115. That's our 101.5 minus 115.
All right. Pete is locked in. All right, I got to speed this up because a lot of teams to go through. Montreal Canadiens is the next up, and I mean, your guess is as good as mine with this hockey team. Obviously, they dealt with a ton of injuries last year, and I didn't notice their greatness. They had a very interesting offseason, very controversial offseason, drafting a guy in the first round who begged not to be drafted, losing Shea Weber for the season due to multiple injuries, maybe Shea Weber for his career, And then the wildly exciting situation when Carolina stole Kotkaniemi off of them, and they replaced him with Christian Dvorak, which will help them right now. Maybe not in a few years, but right now at the price point for Dvorak. And then you have, how good are Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield? I can't quite answer that. I don't know how good they're going to be. I love that Tyler Toffoli's playing with them. Jeff Petrie, for the first half of the season, was the Norris Trophy winner. The second half of the season, he struggled. Now, injuries were a part of that. Can David Savard come in and give this team a huge boost that they need? Because this team still has nice-looking depth. You got Gallagher on the third line. I mean, they need a lot from Jake Evans. You got a nice-looking fourth line with Lehkonen, Paquette, and Perreault. But, again, it's not – if I was coaching, it's not the way I would want – I don't want that as my fourth line. I want a physical bruising team. And then what the hell are you going to get from Jonathan Drouin? I wonder if this team is going to be overvalued throughout the season and we're going to make money fading them. But I've made that mistake before. Dennis Garcia says Montreal under 90. I said this last year about Vancouver. Overachieved in playoffs, young team, gets hyped and falls on their face next year with a bunch of sophomore slumps. Feel the same way about Montreal. Mr. Ghost says not enough scoring power. I mean, how good? I mean, with Drouin and Suzuki and Caulfield, they could be very, very good offensively. And the Josh Anderson trade was thievery. Maybe the Habs under is the bet to make. What do you think of these Montreal Canadiens this year?
Yeah, it's low certainty here. Just the personnel losses and then the youth progression. It's could easily see a lot of times the breakout excellent performers that you weren't really expecting tend to be a lot of those young guys, and I could easily see that being Montreal here, but it's a pass for me. Numbers like the over, but pass.
And I personally feel we have so many things, so many moving parts with this Habs team, that the Carey Price being out and now going into a rehab of some kind, I don't think it's a devastating blow. And I think he can still inspire this team. And, he steps up in the playoffs, but look at what he's done in the regular season for the last few years. I don't feel like it's a devastating blow. I don't know what to do with these Habs, and I've made a mistake of counting them out when I shouldn't. So I've got nothing there with the Habs. Let's move on to the Ottawa Senators, and it just sucks for those of you who want to see this team step up that Tkachuk is unsigned. Brady Tkachuk is unsigned. It just sucks. He's such a special player. It's too bad. This team is moving in the right direction. Stützle could be excellent, but he's 19. I was still hesitant to pick him late in the hockey pool. Josh Norris is capable. It was a nice pickup, and he was a main piece of the big trade with the Sharks. And Drake Batherson, look, he lights it up in the A. Will he be able to do that in the NHL? This was not a highly thought of prospect coming out, as a kid. And then I like Connor Brown a lot, but Shane Pinto and Nick Paul as top six forwards, I don't know. I mean, Thomas Chabot has a ton on his plate here. I think he's very, very talented. And then it always will come down to how bad is Matt Murray? Is he terrible? He looked so bad last year, and they got him under contract now, and I don't know what to do. I understand. Look, if Brady Tkachuk was on this team, I would take the over 77.5 points, and maybe he becomes on it. Maybe he jumps on it. I don't. What we know about Ottawa is they're coached impeccably. They are going to fight. They're going to be a live dog. I just wish Tkachuk was on that top line. Maybe he will be soon. So, what are your thoughts on the Senators team?
Yeah, that's a great read on great read, Jimmy the Bag. The numbers that I look at have them on the under as far as the season points total are concerned, but I agree with you that they look primed to have betting value as a big underdog in spots for sure.
Probably at home. Probably
Yeah.
at home is a place where we can back them. It's a sleepy arena outside of the city. The opposition's not going to be excited to be there. And
They look Pittsburgh Pirates-esque.
yeah, I think that's well put. That's well put. It sucks that it's Matthew Murray. So you know what we should probably do is probably wait till Anton Forsberg is between the pipes, and maybe the market will look at that as a lesser than situation, and maybe it is a plus. So maybe Anton Forsberg between the pipes at home is when we back the Senators. Brady says not having Tkachuk is a killer. Hopefully they get him back soon. I like the overseason point totals. It's too bad. Tkachuk is a special kid, special player. Let's move on to Detroit Red Wings because, those of us who were so excited to see Stevie Y come over there and think about Stevie Y not getting the recognition that he deserves for building the Lightning team, Breezeball getting all that attention. I don't know what to make of this Red Wings team, and I don't know if they're actually getting, I hate to say it, but better at this point. I can't understand a team like Carolina Hurricanes that are so close to having it all would give away Nedeljkovic for a third-round pick. I mean, what is Nedeljkovic like then? Because he can't – there has to be, and I hate to say this, but there has to be some character issues. There just has to be. For him to put up these spectacular numbers as a young goalie and the Hurricanes not wanting him, and then you have to ask yourself, do you trust the brain trust of the Hurricanes? And I do. And do you trust Rob Brindamore? And obviously, Rod Brindamore looked into Nedeljkovic's eyes and thought, I can't trust this guy. There's something going on that makes no sense. I like the Nick Leddy pickup. I've been staring at Philip Roenick for a while, expecting him to be better. You know that Dylan Larkin should be better. And then
I think that Nedeljkovic is a long-term move, clearly Detroit's not really playing for this year again. They're pretty much having the rebuild being slow. And so I don't think that they're necessarily expecting him. I think that they think that they can, get results out of him longer term, whereas the Hurricanes, maybe didn't think that.
But why would they not? I completely get the move from the Detroit side of things. But when you think something has enormous value and then you get offered nothing for it, I mean, it's got to be a red flag. Mr. Go says Nedel's going to die in Detroit. He has nothing in front of him. Slatsy says losing Vrana hurts the offense. You have Vrana out. This team
feels like it's another semi-tank year for Detroit.
I wouldn't say semi-tank. I think that I think there's a full tank. They're trying to get that first overall pick. You have Tyler Bertuzzi, who's not vaccinated, so he can't play in Canada, which is not too big of a deal. There are a couple other spots he won't be able to play in America. But he's a very tough player to play against. The Mantha trade made no sense to me. And when I look at guys like Nemesnikov and Fabry, I see stick handlers who will get punished in tough games.
All right. I'll make that an official play. Jimmy the Bag, that was my thought. Under 77.5 for Detroit, minus 115.
Under 77.5 and minus 115. That makes sense to me, and I think I might tail that. They've talked about the Red Wings not getting a 3-pick or top 5 pick, but they've been bad. They've been lousy, but they haven't been getting the high draft picks. I think this is the year that they get the number 1 pick. So I think that – but in saying that, the Sabres are absolutely trash. I mean, how do they – I don't understand. You're trying to rebuild, and you got Linus Ullmark. You have Sam Reinhart, and you don't keep these guys makes no sense. Like, I get Casey Middlestad. Look, you one of the worst contracts in the history of professional sports with Jeff Skinner. You have to deal with that. There's a few teams that have that. You have Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestad. I don't know why you don't want Sam Reinhart to lead the way there. Rasmus Dahlin has not been very good. The Ristolainen trade to the Flyers, it seems like they want to get all the vets off of this team that they possibly can. Now, no one's going to take Skinner and Okposo off their hands, so they'll just end up cutting them whenever they can. But I thought that this team had hope a couple years ago. Obviously, the Eichel situation is a distraction and it hurts them. But how you can go into an NHL season with Craig Anderson and Dustin Tokarski is beyond me. They're just so bad. They're just – I mean, there's got to be overs nonstop. What is their season win total right now for the Sabres?
I don't know, but we're talking about Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Jimmy the Bag, you know how people say that there's no locks in sports betting, and you really should not bet, the house and the mortgage and everything on any individual game because anything can happen. I still believe that, but if you're going to do that, do it on January 30th, Buffalo at Colorado, Buffalo on a back-to-back. The fair line in that game should be like minus 700 or something like that. What'll it be? I don't know. But, yeah, Buffalo is terrible, and that January 30th game I've got circled. There's no way the market's going to make the line high enough on Colorado.
You're right. You know
what I'm saying?
I think that we have to keep a very close eye on this Sabres power play. If this Sabres power play can be good, then we can cash overs with them nonstop because their goaltending is going to be absolutely atrocious. Mr. Gokser says Tokarski probably their best chance. I probably, but there's a reason why he never made the show. So these teams just look so bad. Let's not spend too much time on them. Let's move on. But that is your Atlantic Division. Let's move on to the Metropolitan Division here, and we'll start with the Carolina Hurricanes. They're the same price as the Islanders to win the division. I made future bets on them 2 years ago and 3 years ago. I didn't last year, and I couldn't because of their goaltending. And now I thought that with Nedeljkovic getting older and better, that would be done, and you could back him. Now they have Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta. Ranta just gets injury problems nonstop, and Freddie Anderson just isn't the guy. He's not the guy. And this team has so much going for them. Nechas, Aho, Kotkaniemi on the first line, Svechnikov, Trocheck, Teravainen on the second line, Stahl, Niederreiter, and Jesper Fast on the third line. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to keep Stahl and Niederreiter together because they're just not fleet of foot enough, but they have a ton of size. I like the move. It was not re-signing Dougie Hamilton was questioned, but look, earlier in his career, Dougie Hamilton was passed around from franchise. Why? There has to be some leadership issues. So I had no problem with them not having him. I think Slavin can be the real deal. Pesci, Brady Shea. I think this is a really good hockey team. The issue for me is I think the Islanders are a better hockey team than them. And so I've got nothing to do with Hurricanes futures, but they're a very good hockey team. Let's take a look at what 95.5 is their season win total.
Yeah, they're playing in a tough division, obviously, but that seems a little low to me. No?
It does. Dennis Garcia says Carolina make the playoffs, win the division over point total. He thinks they're better than the Islanders. Yeah, it does. Maybe at plus 290 on each side. The problem is I'm just so in love with this Islanders roster, but maybe at plus 290 on each side. I guess I can't do that because the Rangers, the Rangers have some high-end talent and they could get in the mix. And counting the Capitals out is dangerous. So, no, I just like the Islanders better than them. But this is a really good hockey team. There's no doubt about it. Mr. Gokser says Anderson will get this team over the hump. I don't know if they will. Johnny K says D'Angelo could be an anchor. Look, this guy showed so much talent and then was cut from the Rangers for character issues. Now, Rod Brindamore will kick his ass if he needs to. But I guess my issue is I just like the Islanders more than them. But I think at 95.5, it's probably a good number. Slat says lost Hamilton, gave $6 million to Kotkaniemi, and gave away their promising goalie. That was a big part of me going with the Islanders. Dennis Garcia says the goaltending is competent. It is, yeah. It's okay. Any thoughts of moving on this over, Pete?
No, just because it's a tough division.
This Islanders, let's move over to the Islanders. This Islanders team is so deep, so hungry, so good. Anders Lee was out all last year. They gave him the captaincy for a reason. And he's a big body. He's everything that you'd want in a forward on the line with Barzal and Palmieri on the first line. Beauvillier, Brock Nelson, Josh Bailey on the second line. Parise, Pajot, and Wallstrom on the third line. We don't know how good Wallstrom could be. He's on their first power play unit. He's on the point of their first power play unit. And this guy could be a special forward. And then you have the best fourth line of hockey, Matt Martin, Zekas, and Cal Clutterbuck, that can completely change the mode of the game, the mood of the situation, anything they need. And they start every period. You have Pelech and Pollock on that first defensive pair. They add Chara to this dressing room. You have Mayfield and Green as the final defensive pair. They are bad. Last year, the Islanders defense had, bottom three Corsi figures, and some would say they were the best defense in the NHL. But then you have Varlamov and Sorokin in net. I mean, these guys, they're going to win the Jennings. This team is so deep. Parise linking up with the man who drafted him this late in his career with a ton to prove. I'm in love with this team. I'm in love with this roster. I'm in love with what they've gone through in the playoffs and not gotten over the hump. I just think this team is ready for everything. I have them to win the division, to win the conference, and to win the cup. What do you think, Pete?
Okay. Yeah, the analytics, as you probably are aware of, don't really like them that much as you like them. But that's been the case for a bunch of years with the Islanders, and they've outperformed that every year. So yeah, there's something up with this team. I mean, the analytics kind of have they don't have really elite players. Like Barzal and Varlamov are the only real true elite players they have, and Pulak as well. Borderline. But again, they've overperformed those projections for a few years now. So I would trust your take on it way more than the analytics I'm looking at.
Yeah, and it's Lou Lamoriello too. It's about trusting him and seeing who he's giving the big contracts to. And Birdie says the Islanders have to score more. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Again, that's part of the reason why the defense has such poor Corsi numbers, is because they're just not. They don't have that help. Dennis Garcia says analytics never liked New York Islanders. I prefer them as a playoff team, not a 100-point division winning regular season team. I get that, and I get why you're bullish on the Hurricanes. And Slide says you don't think the Islanders are still thinking about that last game versus Tampa. They might be the hungriest team in the NHL.
Yeah.
We're going to need a little bit more than 17 minutes to finish all these games. Jose, and I don't want to. I know that the college football show is being moved to today, and I don't want to go up against them. I'm not sure what to do because I would like to finish this off here because I got Pete's. So I'm just going to keep rolling quickly. Next up is the New York Rangers. The Rangers have Lafreniere and Kakko, and if you look at the trajectory of the Devils with Hughes and Hischier, the only thing that you can say, and they've taken some time, is that the Rangers have much better players around them. And we know how you win a Stanley Cup is by getting first overall and second overall picks. I mean, the Blackhawks showed us exactly how you win a Stanley Cup. Zibanejad just gets his huge contract. I've been a big fan of his for a while. Kreider on that first line, then Artemi Panarin, who's an absolute, just a spectacular hockey player with Strome and Kakko. Strome's resurgence here when people question whether he'd have a spot in this league is impressive. Picking up Ryan Reeves is such a smart move. You just don't want to get bullied. I don't know why every team wasn't trying to get him. Adam Fox, wins a Norris Trophy out of nowhere. He's special. I expected a little more from Trouba, but this is a very talented hockey team with two very good goalies in Shesterkin and Georgiev. They're a good hockey team. I don't know what to do. Dennis Garcia said made a small bet over a wins. Did you use the Rangers in your action at all, Pete?
No.
And what was it that turned you off? Was it just that this young offense can't be trusted quite enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's a quality team. It's a very tough division this year. There's obviously a lot of quality. I mean, basically, there's just there's the Devils to the Flyers are basically all. There's a lot of parity there and quality parity, and then you got the Blue Jackets who are terrible, or not terrible, but a notch below. So I think they're accurately priced as far as the points total is concerned at about 94.
And look, Panarin's magic. This team could be very, very good. I'm not sure what to do with them.
I mean, it'll be a fun team to watch. I just wouldn't bet the total.
Then we get to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they're in tough, but Crosby will be back here soon, and Guentzel, I heard, might even be back tonight now. I don't know if he will be. Let's take a look at what their number is. They're at 95.5, juice to the over. How do we not bet the under on this? How do we not bet the under? They always seem to do so much with the sum of their parts, but I look at Letang and think, God, they should have traded him when they had the chance, when his value was high. You know, ownership wants him to retire a Pittsburgh Penguin, and whenever you want stuff like that, your franchise gets hurt because of it. Rust is such a good hockey player. He's exactly the kind of hockey player I'd want on my hockey team. Jeff Carter still has a lot to prove late in his career. Denton Heinen, Zucker missed most of last year with injury. Rodriguez, Kasperi, Kapanen, they need scoring from Kapanen. I do not see this as a good hockey team, even if Malkin was healthy.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be injured most of the year, I think.
Well, yeah, because he says he'll come back in 2 months, but when he comes back, is he going to play every second night or
no?
Yeah. And North Ender says no mention of Lafreniere. That was the very first thing we said about him. Remo says he's unavailable for tonight. Lafreniere was the very first thing we talked about with the Rangers, North Ender. So how do we not take the under 95.5 points with this team?
I think it's good. The analytics say it's about even. But yeah, Cindy plays horses, likes the under, although she says 97.5, which isn't available now. It's 95.5. But yeah, I would definitely lean that way.
Maybe that would be an addition. I'm trying not to put too much, but this team always seems to play well. Williams Wrestling, thank you for joining us. Says Pete looking fly.
Yeah. So what are we going to do, Jim? Are we going to do the rest of the other two divisions?
I'd like to quickly go over them. I'll just speed everything up here. Everything up here. If we're a couple minutes into the 1 o'clock show, I don't think they'll be too angry with us. Let's move on to the Capitals here, a very old squad.
Under. No?
I think you're probably right. What is the number that you're getting?
Let me see. Why don't you do some talking while I look for the number?
I get 95.5 at Bet365. It's just they're a professional outfit. And I'm still hesitant to fade them. They know what it takes to win, and I don't know what to do here. Mantha, I thought, was a great pickup. When you look at your top players and they're, Oshie, Ovechkin, Backstrom, and Backstrom's hurt right now. That's an old group. It's an old group to trust. I don't know, Pete. That seems right around where they're going to end up.
You're right. It's a little bit low considering the talent, but I would be leaning under for sure.
I would do that as well.
Not going to make it.
All right. It's all good, North End. All good. But, we open with Lafreniere, the comparison to Hughes and Hischier over in New Jersey. Look, they're a team that will be more dangerous in the playoffs if they're healthy than they will be during a regular season. So I think there's a lot of truth there. Let's move on. We got to speed this up. Let's move on to the Philadelphia Flyers. I cannot believe what's happened to this roster. I'm just shocked. Now, Drew is just not being the player that we expected him to be. Joel Farabee may be very good, but you can't possibly go into a season with Brassard as your second-line center. It's just so Couturier, Konechny, Giroux should be a good line, but You bring in Ristolainen and Ryan Ellis. I mean, this defense has been so bad over the years. This team looks bad. And then you have so much on whether Carter Hart plays well because Martin Jones can't back him up.
Statistically, the worst goalie in the league.
I do not know. Johnny K saying Scott Lawton can take that spot. This last year, before the year started, we looked at their forwards and I thought, man, this is the best forward group in the NHL. Now, obviously, that didn't come to fruition, and maybe Vigneault has sort of lost touch. He's a coach that I believe in, but I see this Flyers team falling apart and Vigneault being fired in the next few months. 92.5 is too high to me. Brady says fade Flyers. AV first coach to be fired. Prop. AV's run his course, and the Hart's more likely to be finished than rebounding. AV has to go. Dennis Garcia says over or under to Cindy. Excuse me. This team, I think this team will end up being an absolute train wreck. But maybe I'm being too harsh because Oscar Lindblom, Scott Loudon, James Van Riemsdyk. That's a good third line. Van Riemsdyk's run last year shocked me. Now, he didn't carry it over the second half of the season, but the Flyers sort of gave up. I just can't imagine Brassard as a second-line center. Do you have any interest in this Flyers squad, Pete?
No. I don't think they'll be terrible, but yeah, probably overvalued.
I think they could be terrible. This division is so strong.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm leaning towards an under 92.5. I wonder if I decide to pull the trigger on that. And now let's move over to the New Jersey Devils. My goodness.
Over. Official play, 89.5, minus 115. Official play, over.
It could be a great pick. Great bet. Over 89.5.
Before I hear what you have to say, official play. If it loses, it's fine.
It might be an absolutely great bet. There's so much talent and so many question marks in this group of forwards. And then I didn't love the Dougie Hamilton signing, but it should be an electric power play. I mean, Hischier only played 21 games last year with that horrible face injury. And we have such high expectations of Jack Hughes, Sharangovich, Igor Sharangovich, and Kuokkanen on that first line with Hughes, and then Zacha and Jesper Bratt on that second line with Hischier. There's no reason why this wouldn't be a really strong forward unit. You have Mackenzie Blackwood, who has decided now he's going to get vaccinated. I believe it was either today or yesterday that he's going to get vaccinated. And Bernier is a 1-2 punch in goal that I don't really trust. I don't know. They have such a high upside. I mean, it certainly would be an over or no bet. I just don't know.
It could lose. It could lose, of course, but you got. I think that the goaltending is mediocre but deep, and most importantly, they've got a core that is young that I think is primed for expected or unexpected improvement. So if it doesn't happen, fine. But they got a lot of young guys there who are looking like they should make significant improvements. And then Hamilton's elite defenseman. So put it all together, and it's not a high point total, 89.5.
I think it's I would certainly not take the other side. I think it's a good look. I think it's a good look and makes sense. Then we have the Columbus Blue Jackets. What horrific management. I know they have so many nice things to say about the general manager as a person, and it's good to have a Finnish general manager, but what a train wreck he's done with this hockey team. This was such a good hockey team. I don't know why when you come so close to succeeding, why you have to make changes. The Max Domi for Josh Anderson trade is one of the worst trades I can possibly imagine. Josh Anderson's so hard to play against. Max Domi's so easy to play against. Patrick Laine, I mean, the jury's out for him. I mean, Texier could possibly be a strong first-line center. And Cole Sillinger, I like that you're giving him all this opportunity, but the moves that they made make no sense to me. And then getting rid of Seth Jones, like he was the issue here, is just crazy. I mean, how bad is this Blue Jackets team going to be this year? And Line A will be traded at the deadline, I'm sure, to some team with hope. 76.5. I wonder if the under's in play. It's a low point total. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on it. I guess I'd be leaning under just because of the strength of the division. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a closer look. And all we have here are unders at this point. All right, let's quickly go through the Western Conference. Kenny Can, thank you so much for the dono. Very, very, very kind of you.
All we have is unders in that division?
No, I have the over. Oh,
right. I thought you said all we have was unders.
No, yeah, I mean for me, you got the beat over 89.5 for the Devils, but I didn't. Yeah. I didn't take the Islanders over win total, but I did take them to win the division, which is probably they go hand in hand.
I'd also be leaning pretty strongly over in the Hurricanes as well at 95.5.
Yeah, that over does make sense. That over does make sense. All right, let's move on to the Western Conference here and be very quick here. The Avalanche, they just don't have very much depth. And every year, Landeskog gets hurt at some point, or McKinnon gets hurt, or Rantanen gets hurt. Burakovsky was very good last year. He's got to continue that. The Kadri had scored 1 goal in his last 27 games before he was suspended for the playoffs. I know, and I think he's a tough player to play against, but he's got to put up some offense if he wants to be a top 6 forward. Or will Alex Newhook take that role away from him? This team does not have very much depth. It has some depth, not very much. Their defense looks excellent. Cale Makar could win the Norris Trophy. I'm not going to take him at plus 400 to win it. Girard, I love. Bowen Byram, I think, is going to be a beast. Having Eric Johnson and Jack Johnson and Ryan Murray, with the 3 young guys, I'm not sure how much it's going to help. I don't know if Darcy Kemper is the number 1 goalie, and hopefully Pavel Francouz, who we didn't see last year, can take that role from him. But I don't see any value on the Avalanche anywhere on the board. I don't see anything. And I took the Dallas Stars to win the division at plus 700. So what are your thoughts on this?
Give me the bag. You took Dallas to win the division?
Yeah, plus 700, yes.
Okay, I wouldn't lie to you, Jimmy the Bag, right? Mm-hmm. I was about to yell out, can we just jump to Dallas Stars under 95.5, under. I was about to do that.
Well, let's move right on to them next because
you like Dallas?
I think this is a very, very good hockey team.
Wow. Okay, let's hear it.
I think that Rupee Hintz will be a top 10 player in the NHL this year. You have Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. Tyler Seguin, guys that I don't trust, but now they don't have to be trusted. This little Joe Pavelski has completely changed Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin because now they've seen what a leader looks like and what a leader acts like. And now they can't just fool around. Tyler Seguin missed all of last year. He's got so much to prove. Jamie Benn can play on a line with Seguin and Radulov, or can be a third-line centerman. Alexander Radulov played 11 games last year. This guy is a dynamic forward who can score. He's tough. He's in front of the net. He's so good. I mean, we got Pavelski and Radulov as right wingers, so Gurionov is not going to get an opportunity, but he's a 24-year-old sniper. You have Jason Robertson, 45 points in 51 games as a rookie. What's he going to do this year with Rupee Hintz and Joe Pavelski? I think Heiskanen is easily one of the best defensemen in the league. You have Klingberg in a contract year. If Klingberg has a big season, he's going to get a huge contract. Look, their goaltending is the problem. Khudobin, I don't think, is number 1, and Holtby is terrible, absolutely terrible. Thank you, Jose. I was saying it's okay that we go a little longer here. So I think this is a very good hockey team, and I mean, humming and hawing whether I take them to win the cup or to win the conference. I've been sitting here thinking, but to win the division, I really like.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing they've got an old team, even though their most important guys, yes, are in their prime or coming into it. But they've got overall an old roster and goaltending problems, like you said. And if I get canceled for this, fine. But yes, I am ageist. I'm biased against old players in hockey. Okay, so I got something to think about.
Slats says no open slaps for Benn and Seguin this year. Look, I hate Jamie Benn and I hate Tyler Seguin. I don't want to study this team and be shocked at how good they are, how hard they're going to be to play against. I look at this roster and I see if they had a Ryan Reeves or a Tom Wilson, they would have it all. I think I mean, their goaltending is bad, but that's something that you can fix. And I don't think maybe if Ben Bishop comes back and is healthy. Luke Murphy says Sagan, Radulov, Ben, Pavelski all past their prime. Yeah, that's right. And Rupi Hintz is a top 10 player in the NHL. You have, any other year, Jason Robertson wins Rookie of the Year. Dennis Gurianov is a 24-year-old sniper. So sometimes it's good to have. Look, Pavelski keeps rolling. You see his numbers last year? I don't have it in front of me, but I believe he scored 51 points, 56 games.
Yeah, sure. Wow. And Birdie says this is the year the Stars take a run. This is the year back to the Stars. Only Stanley Cup future I've played. Yeah. I thought this would be under or pass as far as the points total is concerned.
James Fadala says, are you okay? Hintz is top 10. He's not right now, but I believe when this season is done, he will be a top 10 forward in the NHL. And the best player easily on this Dallas Stars team.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think that maybe I should put a little bit on them to win the conference and win the cup. I'm trying to keep it down, my action, but maybe I should. All right, let's move on to the Minnesota Wild. And, look, we talked about Kirill Kaprizov nonstop last year. And then we talked about when Zuccarello gets healthy, watch Kirill Kaprizov roll. And I question whether Joel Eriksson was good enough to be a first-line centerman on this hockey team. I did pick Eriksson in the pool late in October last night. Kaprizov was dynamite, and then he signs this giant contract. Jordan Greenway is exactly the type of player I want on my hockey team. Big, tough, scary, can score. And Marcus Foligno, same deal. Big, tough, scary, can score. You got Kevin Fiala, who's got a lot of speed. This is a very good hockey team. Look at that fourth line: Nico Sturm, Nick Bjugstad, and Victor Rask. I wish Bjugstad was bigger and tougher for that 6'6" frame. Dumba, Spurgeon, Goligoski, Brodin. Dumba, Brodin is your second defensive unit. Is Cam Talbot as good as we saw last year? James Vandala says Gurianov is better. All right, James Vandala. Because Gurianov is going to be hard-pressed to get on the power play. But I'm going to keep a note of you saying that. And I'm sure you will never come back to the show late in the season because of that comment. Let me just put that here beside the Stars. Yeah, the goaltending does concern me, but I think this Wild team is going to be very good. I think they're going to be a very good hockey team and very tough to beat. I think with Columbus being such a big favorite that you're probably put yourself in a nice situation taking both Minnesota and Dallas futures to win the division. Brady says Wild dead nuts over team. We will cash until the market catches up on them. On my regulation, on my reputation, this Wild power play is going to be super elite. I'm extremely high on the Wild. This is a really young, exciting team.
Wow. What a bunch of commenters we got here. This is awesome.
The Wild are a very good team, but I like Dallas to win that division. The Wild's exact same price. They're both plus 700. Look, it's probably a great bet to take both the Wild and the Stars at plus 700 and then wait to see if you get a line on the Avalanche at some point that's plus money, live while we go through the season. To win the conference, the Wild are 11-1. To win the Cup, the Wild are, 25-1. They're a really good hockey team. They're a really good hockey team. So Johnny K says the Wild D suspect. I love getting rid of Suter and Parise and sticking with the young guys. They're a very good hockey team. You know who else I think is a very good hockey team? Is the St. Louis Blues. I think they're going to completely fly under the radar here because of a bad year last year. I like the Buchnevich signing. I don't know what Jordan Kyrou is going to do this year. I really don't. I don't know what he is as a hockey player. We've been sitting back waiting for Robert Thomas to step up, and he hasn't. I don't have high hopes for Vladimir Tarasenko, and I don't think you need them. I was shocked at the numbers David Perron put up last year. I don't know if he's capable of doing that again. I don't know if Brandon Sayad is fast enough to be on the first line with Ryan O'Reilly, who's not that fast. I don't know if they have enough speed, Sayad Riley, as number one, but you can change that. Colton Parayko is he's going to be on Team Canada's defense. He's such a great defenseman, big, outlet passes that remind me of Chris Pronger. I mean, not to the same level. I don't know if Binnington's that good, to be honest with you, but I think that this St. Louis Blues team is really good. What do you think of the Blues this year, Pete?
I'm still like my mind is still hemorrhaging from your Dallas analysis, which I definitely am going to pull that as an official play though. St. Louis, I have them roughly dead on as far as like low 90s. I would put them no opinion on the points total.
You know, maybe the fact that this division is so good, maybe the move is to take the Avalanche under 111.5 points. There's Turnsey in the house. Maybe that's the move. Take the Avalanche under 111.5 points, because we're about to talk about a Winnipeg Jets team that I think is also very good. I mean, this division is just good. Scheifele won't be in game one because of the suspension, but Kyle Connor is just a sniper.
Sorry, do you want to tell you one thing about St. Louis?
Yes.
My only concern with them is that they play a physical team. They play a physical game, and their guys are a little bit old. So, kind of reminds me of like the Kings or something from the mid 2010s, where they've got veteran players with big contracts, but then they sort of decline gradually. So that's why I'm concerned about St. Louis.
I think you make a good point. The Torrey Krug signing, and him and Justin Falk are good defensemen, but Colton Parayko, I'm just in love with. He's just the perfect defenseman in my eyes. I think he's so talented, and you're right. I see the comparisons. This is a very good hockey team, but I also think Winnipeg is a really good hockey team. Now Dubois has to step up, and Ehlers has to keep moving in the right direction. And I don't like the Nate Schmidt pickup personally. Pionk and Morrissey are going to have to hold the fort down. But Connor Hellebuck is a spectacular goaltender, and this is just a good hockey team. This is a really good hockey team.
I just get nervous about teams that rely so much on an elite goaltender,
Sorry, say that again?
I just get very nervous about long-term futures bets on teams that rely so heavily on an elite goalie like this.
No, that makes sense. Dennis says Winnipeg's mediocre. I think they're a good hockey team in a very, very tough division that's gotten so much better this year than last year. So let's just keep rolling. We move on to the Chicago Blackhawks. Blackhawks are up next. What's Jonathan Toews going to do this year? It's a huge question. And from a hockey fan, I want him to be good. And I know he's Captain Serious and he's capable of being good. Turnsey says swept those two team totals. Oh, beautiful. Great job, Turnsey. Dennis Garcia says, which division don't you like? Well, the Pacific Division is trash. But that's easy to say. Pacific Division is trash. And the Atlantic Division's bad. I mean, the Atlantic Division has the Lightning and Panthers in it, but it's the Metropolitan and the Central. These are very, very good divisions. And the Blackhawks are going to vastly improve. Tyler Johnson as a first-line centerman is just, it's ridiculous. I mean, Kirby Dach's got to be able to take over that spot. DeBrincat and Kane. You can't have a line that's DeBrincat, Johnson, and Kane. Doesn't matter how fast you are, you're going to get beat up. And then Seth Jones is the number one defenseman. Finally get rid of Keith and Seabrook that have been holding this team back. Look, they won them 3 Stanley Cups, and they should be treated as heroes in the city, but you got to get rid of them. And Seth Jones is a beast. This team has got to be improved. And you have Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, this has to be a much improved team, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's tough. I think that getting Fleury is probably a huge plus. And Toews' health is a big question mark, though.
Dennis Garcia said, I found Vancouver to make the playoffs at plus 165. I took it because I agreed the division's terrible, hoping they get that third spot. They're a little, and he says, I also don't believe in Seattle. I look forward to get to this, that division here shortly. The Blackhawks are going to be much improved. Their team total at 90.5, Bet365, heavily juiced to the under. Then we move on to the Nashville Predators.
Sorry, just one comment on the Hawks, though. They definitely feel like they have urgency, whether they'll be able to do it or not. And, for team totals, especially when they're, in the mid-range like this, that sense of urgency or the lack thereof, it weighs heavily on my mind in all sports,
I think that's a good point. Crawford is long gone.
Would you agree that that they're one of those teams that has like a win now urgency to them or not?
Without a doubt, an absolute win now, and that's why they, gave up the first rounders for Seth Jones. They know that Kane and they're getting Taves back, and Kane's old and he's still elite. So I think it's a really well put.
So when you have a sense of urgency along with a mid-range, season win total or point total or whatever, then I'm usually looking for over, because even if they don't achieve the way they want to, they'll probably get, over that mid-range total.
Kirby Dach has got size and he's just a kid, but and if Captain Series can come back and play like, a man, but I see this as being a very easy. They can't physically hurt you, this forward group. They can just draw penalties and hurt you on the power play. Like I don't see them as being very tough to play against at this point. Let's move on to Nashville Predators here. What a disappointment this team has been. And if you need Ryan Johansson or Matt Duchene to do anything, you're in deep, deep trouble. And this is just a bad hockey team right now. Cody Glass in that trade, for Nolan Patrick, that he may help. He will in the long run, but they got to get rid of Johansson and Duchene. Johansson breaks my heart seeing him be such a terrible hockey player at this point in his career, when I thought he was just a stud. When they got Ryan Johansson for Seth Jones, I thought, man, they got that big centerman who could score 80 to 100 points every year. What a mistake that was. The Nashville Predators here at 83.5 points. How could they possibly get to 83.5 points in this division? They can't. Can they? This is a surefire under that I didn't realize.
I'm not sure. I was leaning over. I'm not exactly. Are they in rebuilding mode? They've got an okay decor, right?
No, Roman Josi is very good. Mattias Ekholm is good.
Okay, yeah, no, I have no real opinion on it, other than thinking that they might be one of those lower tier teams that would have value as an underdog throughout the season in spots.
Maybe game to game, but. Yeah. This is a very good division, and 83.5 points. I just don't see how they get there.
Sure.
So, and Johnny K says Sakic deserves some credit for seeing right through Duchene. Yeah, absolutely. Duchene's terrible. Then we'll go into the Coyotes. How bad are the Arizona Coyotes going to be this year? Just horrific. You have Louis Eriksson, who can't make it into a. You have players. He's a top 6 forward on this team. Ryan Zingle can't crack a lineup. He's a top 6 forward. Andrew Ladd, on the fourth line.
7-game series. I'd probably take him over Buffalo, though.
I don't know.
No.
Chicherin is a good defenseman. I don't know if Ghost is going to try to get his career back in. Carter Hutton and Joseph Coronar. I guess the goaltending's so bad in Buffalo, so maybe with Schmaltz, Krause, Keller on the first line, you're probably right.
Buffalo, I think, is going to be one of those classic teams that's horrible and still not priced as horrible as they should be priced by the market for a significant period of the season.
I think that there's going to be overs here. I do not know what Rick Tocchet could possibly do with this group, but Carter Hutton is not a good goal. They're just going for the number 1 overall pick. And look, this is what happens when you hire a 26-year-old general manager. Has it ever worked in any sport? Ever? No. And look, just now you're left with this trash heap of a franchise, and he's fucked all off doing something else. So this team is absolutely terrible. And then again, the focus will be on their special teams. Because Keller is a sniper and Schmaltz can play, and and you got Chicherin on the point. If they can score you some goals, because Carter Hutton's not going to stop goals.
So maybe under. I have, the numbers I ran look, they have it pretty much dead on at like, where is it? Like 68.5. But maybe the under is a good play there.
You know what? Let's just take another look at it right now. Arizona. 68.5. Wow, is that too high? God, I don't want too many bets, but under 68.5. Wow. Okay, let's move.
I'll make that official. Under 68.5. I'll make that an official play.
What's the juice?
115.
I like it. Dennis Garcia says, does it bother you that the Islanders lead the league with 19 sets of back-to-back games? Yeah, it's not helpful. Edmonton is the lowest with 8. What I really want to know what happens in the first 13 games of the season when they are out on the road. Brady says they have to play the trap game. They have to. If they don't, Talkett will lose his job. If Talkett can keep them competitive, he gets another job. They have to trap Eileen under in their games. You're absolutely right. They're an under team, especially defensively. It's just Carter Hutton. Yeah, but you're right. You're absolutely right. Johnny K says Arizona tricky. Bettman wants them to be good. They don't have an arena. They could be the Kansas City Coyotes here in 2 years. All right, let's move on to the Pacific Division and put a bow on this show. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us, and it's great having Pete for these extra times. And watch what Pete does with the NHL when we all work together. He's masterful with it. Okay, so we move over to Vegas. I love what they did.
I didn't realize this. Just also about Arizona and about how much they might want to win this year. They've got 8 first and second round picks in next year's draft.
Yeah.
So talk about not caring about this year,
You're absolutely right. Oh, they clearly don't care about this year. It's so clear. You're absolutely right. And Cindy Plays Horses has Kraken Knights under and Canucks over. The Knights are just a really good hockey team still. As much as I want them to not be as good, this Vegas team is just so good. I don't expect Pacioretty to be healthy throughout the year. Mark Stone is a leader that has impressed me. I didn't think he was worth the contract, but he has been. Chandler Stevenson is a good centerman. Whether or not he should be a first-line centerman, it depends how you see him. I don't know. You got Wild Bill on the second line, so there's a centerman who can. That Marchessault Smith Carlson line has just been good, and I love the Nolan Patrick pickup. And I understand why Flyers fans think he's absolute trash. I don't. I think he can be special still. I like that line with Janmark and Dadonov. I don't know why they got rid of Ryan Reeves. I'm happy that he doesn't bully the Canucks anymore, but I don't know why they did that. Their defense is so good. Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez, McNabb, and Theodore. It's just a good team. And Leonard, he's outspoken, but he can handle it. And I think this Vegas Golden Knights team is just going to be exactly what they were last year, and the trouble to deal with. 105.5 points is too many, probably, but this division's so weak. You have any interest in Vegas?
Let me see. No, I have no. No, let me see what my official. I don't think I would. Hold on. Let me see. Sorry. Let me just got so many notes here. Where the hell is it? I can't find it. No, I have no opinion on Vegas. What's the?
It's high.
What's their total?
105.5.
Yeah, I'd probably take the over on that one, to be perfectly honest here. And when most people say that, they're lying out their ass, but I'm not. I would take that. If you gave me a free play on it, I'm not going to bet it.
Yeah, Dennis says Vegas under small play. It's just the division's so weak. Next up, we have the Oilers. I don't think Hyman was a bad pickup at all, But when I look at who they're surrounding Draisaitl and McDavid with, I just think, God, man, this management has to do a better job. Unless Puljujärvi does step up. He's certainly got the physical gifts to do that. Nugent Hopkins has become a leader, but still has toddler shoulders. Their defense has improved with Darnell Nurse becoming a monster, in my estimation. I'm one of the best defensemen in the NHL, but it's not like Duncan Keith had the worst Corsi numbers in the NHL as a defenseman last year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to change anything. I don't get the pickup here. I don't get it. But I think Darnell Nurse is just coming into his own. He's so good. He's so big. He could be better than Seth Jones. Darnell Nurse could end up being a Norris Trophy candidate year in and year out. Dennis Garcia said McDavid went all out to get 100 points against Couldn't take one game from Winnipeg in the playoffs. Enjoyed every minute of it. Nuge has the horses to keep him happy, says Cindy. Look, Nuge is Burnaby Winter Club hockey player. You know, he's in the Bantam A finals. He beat my alma mater team 4-1. He scored 4 power play goals. And look, I've been following him closely. I wanted better for him. Brady says Jaime was a great pickup. Splitting up that line is the mistake. Bruins have proved you have to ride your strength. Big mistake. I think that's a great point. I mean, it's a great point. You have the perfection line in Boston, and maybe Draisaitl and McDavid should be put together. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this Oilers squad? Do you think they have any value here, Pete?
You know, I mean, it's so frustrating, teams like this, although sometimes they can. You see this in all sports, you know, teams that have, like, you know, it's like the Angels when they had Trout and no one else around them. It's just, they're so bad, and they're trying to, not waste McDavid here, but Duncan Keith was just seems like just the wrong move. So I'd have to be leaning under here, although, you know, you don't need to improve much to make a major improvement with those two guys, with Draisaitl and McDavid. But if you gave me a free play on the points total at 97.5, I'd take under.
Cindy says that Nuge wanted to stay in Edmonton, so I expect a decent year from him. Yeah, he did. He really wanted to stay in Edmonton, stay with that group. We'll move on to the Flames. This is just – so Johnny Gaudreau's in a contract season. I cannot believe we've come to this. How did we get to a point where Sean Monahan scores 20 points – in a 56-game regular season? Sean Monahan was picked in like the late 11th round of a hockey pool last night with 14 teams. Also a Canadian hockey pool where the Canadian teams are always overvalued. What's happened to Monahan? It's shocking to me. Lindholm and Matthew Tkachuk have become so much better than Monahan and Gaudreau. And now we have Gaudreau in a contract season where if he steps up, he gets a juicy contract that can take care of everybody. And if he doesn't, I do not know what to make of this Flames team at all. At all. Hannafin, Tanev is your number one defensive lineup. Markstrom is good. He's good goalie. This division's bad, so they can get some wins. But I guess you have to, in your cap of the Flames, you have to say, what are your expectations of Monahan and Gaudreau? Because I thought they were going to be monsters in this league. I thought Gaudreau could score 100 points in the season.
Yeah, I would say the range of outcomes is for this team one of the biggest in the league. So it's a pass for me as far as a futures bet's concerned. Although worth paying close attention to as the season progresses, because they might be a lot worse or a lot better than you might expect, especially in spurts. And betting into those runs might have good betting value.
Yeah, I agree. Brady says Flames have proven they lack leadership. They've showed no improvement under Sutter. Sutter comes in and he's this hard-nosed coach. He gets the most out of his players, and they go 15-15 with him. Johnny K says can see Gaudreau having a big season. I thought Monahan. Now look, granted, the NHL's a very tough league, but Sean Monahan, Ryan Johansson, big centermen with soft hands that can win faceoffs that won't get bullied. I thought that's the future of the NHL, these guys. And just shocking. Absolutely shocking that they could. Look at this defense. I mean, Hannafin, Tanev, Zadorov, Rasmus Anderson, Goodbranson and Killington. Goodbranson is such a bitch. He never protects anybody on his team. If you have a teammate that gets hit from behind, Goodbranson doesn't go over there and beat him up. He picks and chooses when he fights. He's the softest little bitch enforcer in the NHL. He should be the toughest guy in the NHL. His Corsi numbers are atrocious, and he doesn't stick up for oh, God. Just enjoy watching Goodbranson not stick up for fucking anybody, you Flames fans. You're going to despise Goodbranson like I do now after watching him not protect the Canuck for 3 years. Well, that's why we brought him over, for protection. He shouldn't have a job in the NHL. Okay. I'm getting angry because I know that the Canucks are coming up. All right, let's move on to the Kings here. And we're almost done this breakdown. We'll be done in 6 minutes. Thank you guys for sticking with us here. The LA Kings. I love the Victor Arvidsson trade. For some reason, I always think Arvidsson's bigger than he is. And that's a testament to what kind of player he is, because he's just a little guy, but he plays big. And Dustin Brown is being better. You're waiting for these guys like Velarde and I follow to step up. I like the Philip Deneau pickup, but he's not a second. He's not a top 6 forward. To me, he's a third line center. He should have some, strong defensive forwards on his wing, and he's there to win faceoffs. And Johnny K says King's my dark horse. I mean, I like the Edler pickup. They're paying Quick too much money to be a backup. I don't know what to make of this Kings team other than to bet unders when we take them. They have they're a big, tough forward group, except for Velarde and I don't know, Andreas Athanasiou. I mean, he's not going to be on this team. Right? When there's lots of fast skaters. You also have to go into the dirty areas, which he's afraid of. Let's see what their season win total is for the LA Kings. 86.5, heavily juiced to the over. What do you think, Pete?
They're in a soft. I don't really like them if they were in a tough division, but they're in a soft division, and we kind of know what to. Yeah, I would. I don't know. I'd lean under, but it's a soft division for sure.
Kopitar and Brown were excellent.
Yeah,
they could get nothing done. So I know. And then look at the next team favored in this division is the Kraken. Kraken much higher rated than the Canucks.
Over 89.5. No Jimmy the Bag. I'm looking at Heritage right now. I'm seeing 89.5. At Bet Online, I'm seeing 91.5. But we do a line shop here, and I'm seeing 89.5. So I'll quote that one. Over 89.5. Are you kidding me?
The 89.5 here at Bet365 is heavily juiced to the not heavily, but it's juiced to the under.
89.5. Really?
Yeah, 89.5 is minus 125 to the under. It's too bad that hopefully they got their guys ready to go tonight. And even if they do have the guys ready to go, I think all this bullshit is going to hurt them with the COVID stuff. But look, I like their team. They have a lot of trustworthy players. Their defense is very good.
Yeah.
Susie, Larson, Fleury, Giordano, Dunn, and Lauzon. Their goaltending is excellent. I mean, this could be the best.
Yes.
Yeah. Second to the Islanders tandem. I mean, maybe that's a little much, but Grubauer and Drieger are very good. It's too bad that Yarncroc, Donskoy, Johansson, McCann, aren't here in this group. But Wenberg can be good. Jaden Schwartz and Eberle are players that you can trust, and Schwartz is a very high character guy. And Riley.
So what is that? Are you seeing it Bet365 plus 105 on the over?
At Bet365, we have minus 105 to the over, minus 125 to the under.
Okay, minus 105, over 89.5. That's going to be another official pick for me. No?
I don't dislike it. I just I don't know what to make of them at this point still. I think that, if they were to get 87 points or 86 points, that's a good season. That's a good season. Cool, Jose. Thank you so much, my man. So I don't know. I think it's right around the right number.
Okay, goalies are notoriously hard to predict, but they've got two who are probably top 10, and I think that, and again, a modest, good defense, modest win total, points total. So I'll make that official. If it loses, fine. I'll make it official.
Now we head over to the Vancouver Canucks. Look, I was very hard on Benning and the decisions he's made, and I think deservedly so. But this team will be better this year than we expected them to be because of the moves that they made in the offseason. But I did not want Oliver Ekman-Larsson's contract around our neck. I just don't understand why we have to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And getting contract and then getting small forwards that are easy to play against. Look, Connor Garland is good character, and he's fast, and he can snipe. Isn't that our whole hockey team? I mean, Pedersen can look so good at times, and as the season goes on, he just gets beaten up. Hoglander, we probably asked too much of him last year, and maybe he's able to succeed this year. JT Miller is a really good hockey player who does everything for us. I mean, Tanner Pearson, Bo Horvat, Connor Garland. It's not a bad line. It's a good line. It's a good second line. Bo Horvat is a good centerman. He wins faceoffs. This team wins so many faceoffs that you're like, how are they not good? It's because they make terrible decisions, like signing Tyler Myers. Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Tyler Myers are our first-line defensemen. Quinn Hughes, look, I always wanted a quarterback of the power play like Quinn Hughes. I always dreamt of it. But I watched Doug Lidster. Okay, let's go back. Doug Lidster. Let's go back further than that. Dennis Kearns. Dennis Kearns was a soft hands, offensive defenseman and had to learn how to be defensive. And it was tough because those are the Broad Street Bullies days, and it was tough for a small defenseman. Then we had Doug Lidster come in, who had to learn how to be positionally sound at all times. He had to be positionally sound because he wasn't very big. And other young small defensemen had to figure that out, like Phil Housley. But Quinn Hughes hasn't figured it out. And he's just, every time he's on the ice, he's a defensive liability. And it sucks. It sucks that he can't figure out how to be positionally sound and not pinch at the right times. You know what? If you're Quinn Hughes, maybe stop pinching altogether. Be a power play specialist. And a lot of people are higher on the Canucks than I am, and that's great. That gives me hope. And thank God Holtby's gone. But I don't like this defense. I'm happy Luke Schen's back. I don't like this defense. And we've been waiting so long for Pettersson to step up. Podkolzin is very exciting young forward. But I don't see how this team is going to be good. Can they sneak into the playoffs because the division's terrible? Possibly. 88.5 points. Brady says Hughes has to become more responsible defensively. In my opinion, Canucks overpaid for him. You can score 5 but give up 7. Hughes has to improve defensively. I don't even like watching him on the ice anymore, and I was so excited about having him. What are your thoughts here on these Vancouver Knuckleheads?
I mean, they seem primed for a big improvement, but they were so bad defensively last year. They got to improve, and they might not. There might be something with fundamental with the coaching and management, and that's very, very scary to me. So I wouldn't touch them. I wouldn't touch them on futures. If it looks like they're basically the same as last year, then I would look for them to be overvalued. If they've looked like they've fixed some of their defensive problems from last year, then they might be very undervalued, at least until the market catches up.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with these Canucks. I'll be very interested watching them. Then we get to the Sharks. God, Doug Wilson is just absolute trash. This team is so bad. Logan Couture scored 30 points in 50 games last year. I mean, he can't even create offense. And Timo Meier, he should be able to create offense with them. You got William Eklund and Alexander Barabanov on the wings of Thomas Hertl. And those are your top 6 forwards. It's just, the Erik Karlsson trade was just atrocious. This team is just a bad hockey team. But at home, they probably will give us value this year. I think as a home dog, they probably should be backed. North End says at least Holtby's gone. And Slat says Holtby in Dallas, you have to keep cheering for him. He's so bad. Getting Martin Jones is a big help, but Aiden Hill and James Reimer, there's a chance that Aiden Hill could be a good goaltender. I mean, he's in the Ben Bishop ilk of a 6'6" goalie, and he's capable of being good. And I think the Sharks will give us value as home dogs this year. But I don't know how to have any high hopes for them. 81.5, I'd probably take their under. What do you think of the Sharks here, Pete?
I would lean under. It just feels like a bottoming out season for them. The depth isn't there. They're just on a downward slope, and this might be the nadir of that curve. So yeah, I would lean under.
Then we have the Ducks, and asking Trevor Zegras to do a ton here, which is possible. Ryan Getzlaf, have they waited too long to move him at the deadline? I don't know why they didn't move him at the deadline last year. He probably has to stay. But Getzlaf, hopefully, at $3 million per, hopefully he gets a chance to try another run with a talented squad at the trade deadline. They're an interesting team here because with John Gibson in goal, there's times when they're a great spot for an under. And I don't know if that's going to go away with these young forwards, but this is a ugly hockey team with potential to be a strong power play team. And if they're coached right and they have, Shattenkirk and Fowler on the points, that's the second unit. They got Drysdale and Zegras on the point of their first power play. And they got guys who can score in Raquel and Comtois and Silverberg. And they're going to play a defensive style. And if Gibson can get hot, there could be some value with them at home in that sleepy arena where no one's at. Both the Sharks and Ducks at home as dogs are probably going to give us value this year.
Yeah, I mean this conference is going to have a lot of underwhelming and probably overvalued teams going against each other, which can be good for spots betting wise. And when we sort of gone over this division, this is why I would probably still take Vegas on the over at like 105.5, because there's just so much questions all throughout this division.
The division is just awful.
It's not looking good, and that's why I like Seattle kind of at 89.5. On the over.
I like what Ron Francis did with the team, so I can't wait to watch them. I was so excited about watching them tonight. I hope the guys can get in the lineup, even though I would prefer to get the odds with them in the lineup. Brady says you don't support the Sharks; you exploit situations for huge plus money. I think the Sharks and Ducks are going to be legitimate home dogs to bet on this year. I really do. And we should keep a very close eye on the Ducks goaltending, because when Gibson gets hot, he's very good. And they're going to play a defensive style and try to counterattack and try to, be power play specialists. And I think they're both going to give us value at home. And they can beat the Kings and the Flames and the Canucks and the Kraken. So I didn't realize that until we talked it out, but I think the Sharks and Ducks at home will be good value. And for different reasons, the Sharks will still sell out their joint, and it'll still be a wild, crazy place to play. And the Ducks will be sleepy and no one there. So, and Birdie's saying agree that, yeah, Sharks and Ducks at home as dogs this year, and maybe right away. Maybe right away, too, right when this. So I'm going to look into that. You have every team in the NHL broken down. Pete, I know we had to stay long. Thank you so much for sticking with me and for everybody in the chat. I really loved getting to do this with Pete so that we can just attack NHL on our shows here. I'm on the Leafs under 105.5 points. Dallas Stars to win the Central Division at plus 700. Florida Panthers to win the Atlantic at plus 425. Islanders to win the Met at plus 290. Islanders to win the East at plus 850. Islanders to win the Cup at plus 1700. And then some interesting things that have come up, and I don't want too much NHL action. Much love, Dennis, and all you guys for sticking with us. We'll go into our game-by-game stuff here, but in the Atlantic, Pete moved on the over 101.5 points on the Florida Panthers, and I get that. I get that look. The under 77.5 points at minus 115 with the Detroit Red Wings. The under 67. Did you move on those Sabres under 67.5 as well?
No, but I probably should. I didn't. But I was going to.
Okay. Do you want me to lock that in for you?
Sure. Yeah, let's put that one in. Let's put that one in there. Under 67.5.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Then the Penguins under 95.5 and the Flyers under 92.5. I think I'm more interested in this Penguins under 95.5. It just seems that they get so much out of so little. I don't know if I'll pull the trigger there. Pete, you moved on the over 89.5 points on the Devils. I like that look. I wonder if the Blue Jacks under is in play. I've got to take a closer look on the Wild. I want to move on the Predators under, and I'm going to. And Pete moved on the Coyotes under 68.5, moving from the Pacific to the Central. I like that look, too. These bad teams are going to be bad. And then Pete's also on the Kraken over 89.5 points, minus 1. I've done nothing with anybody in the Pacific Division. And those are our futures. Did I miss anything, Pete?
No, not really. Not really. And just I was going to give Dallas under, but then when I heard your take on it, I pulled that one off the table for sure.
I think they're a very, very good hockey team.
leaning Hurricanes over at 95.5. That's definitely a lean borderline play that I didn't give, and yeah, that's about it.
Leaning for Pete. Okay. And Brady says, look up what the Preds coach is saying. Caution on under. I think the number is right. All right, then let's move into action here. I will definitely look into that. Let's move in for action today. Pete and I have made no moves in those 3 MLB playoff games, although we broke them down and had fun doing it. Jose say, hey, play today's Astros team total over 4 -115. The Taint play today is Atlanta, Milwaukee, full game under 8.5. Spreadsheet play today is Atlanta and the Dodgers. And then we have Pete on the first half under 30 at -110 in App State, Louisiana, Ragin Cajuns. I'm interested in that. Pete, did you decide to pull the trigger on these 2 spots in the hockey game, Lightning Pens?
No, I guess I'll pass on it for now.
Lou Chase Fox is on the App State Lafayette over tonight. My only action. I want to see how high that goes up. I think I'm going to move on this first period under 1.5 at +115 in Penguins Lightning. I'm already on the -1.5 at +100 on Vegas. Pete moved on the Vegas team total under 3.5 at -128. And there you have it. Our longest show on record. Thank you for sticking with us. I think that helped us all breaking down each team to get us set up right for the season. And I think it was great. I think we needed that.
Hell yeah, and you should make a separate video of all this stuff for people who can refer back to it throughout the season because, people underestimate, I think, in handicapping, smart and informed preseason analysis to inform you the whole season long. People get caught up in the week-to-week ups and downs, and reviewing and being very aware of what the preseason prognostications were, I think, is a very valuable thing and something that sports bettors tend to ignore in a way that I don't think they should,
Yeah, no, well put. Well put. Johnny K on Kings +200 to make the playoffs. That division's wide open to make the playoffs. I mean, the Oilers get in. We know that. We know the Knights get in. And then it's all bets are off. Any team could be third there. Anything team can be for third there. That was great. Thank you guys so much for rolling with us. College football show on right now. Jump over there and check that out. Don't forget we have, and they moved it from Monday, but it'll be back to Mondays next week. And then our big NFL show tonight, 8 p.m. That's in 7 hours, not even 6 hours and 18 minutes. Clock is ticking. It's like an episode of 24. Make sure I'm fucking ready for that. Thank you, Jose. I know you have such a busy day, so thank you so much for sticking with us for this long show. Lou Chase Fox's awesome show, Pete. Let's make that movie. I would love to direct.
Hell yeah. Oh, you got to be in it, Jimmy the Bag.
No, that's Lou Chase Fox saying he wants to direct.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Lou Chase Fox. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'd be honored to be in front of the camera with you guys. And Dennis Garcia says, true. If you have a good base assessment of a team in preseason, it can cut the noise in a month when everyone overreacts to the noise.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading comments and reading my. I'm all caught up in NHL analysis here, so I didn't realize you were talking about. You were reading a comment.
If I'm wrong about these looks, I will not be wrong about the Dallas Stars.
Wow,
they're
Jimmy, motherfucking Bag.
They're too deep. So then I guess I have to take the over 95.5, don't I? I have to. So I have to make that bet. I'll make that bet this afternoon.
Wow.
They're just too deep. They're a coach's dream. They have so many different ways to attack you. And if Radulov can stay healthy, Pavelski changed everything. Pavelski went over to that team, and then Ben and Sagan were like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to act. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I'm going to move on this Dallas over in the next few hours. Is it here? And then I'll go up with James Vidala, who says Gurionov is better than Rupi Hintz, who's unbelievable. Okay, Dennis Garcia's already made 10 bets in NFL. I've made none. So has Birdie for the first time. Pete, thank you for being a part of the show. We love you so much.
Hell yeah.
All you guys, thank you so much for your support. Go over to the College Football Show, but most importantly, let's have a giant day, a giant week. Hey, those bookmakers!